appreciate everyone coming out here today for this class. As I said, this was one of our more requested classes. Well, not class per se, but everyone always asks us when we do help desk sessions at Park Ridge or Niles, where can I go to learn this stuff that you know as a technician? So this is a culmination of all that stuff that I've been learning over the last 10 years of doing IT professionally. A lot of the stuff that we teach customers is we're out doing service calls with them and training them on how to keep their machines clean, how to save money. I mean, this isn't just maintaining your home computer. I had a tough time naming this in a way that would look good in a program, to be honest, Ruth, because it's more of it's a smorgasbord of all kinds of different stuff. How to save money, how to save time, how to shop for a new computer without getting ripped off. All that stuff that we as geeks know. I'm going to share a lot of that knowledge with you here today. A lot of juicy information that no textbook out there contains. So this is a really, really useful class, and I'm glad we have a chance to go over this. My name is Derrick. As Ruth said, I run a small technology consulting company out of Park Ridge, right next door to here. We're in the midst of an office move in town, so that's keeping us fairly busy right now. But I started off just doing computer repair for friends and family, and now we do large IT consulting for local government, for education, for small and mid-sized businesses. So we run the full gamut of all kinds of different things. We provide computer support for Ruth for her home needs, and she's usually pretty happy. So if you have any need for computer service, I would hope you know who to call for that. I've been doing IT professionally now for almost 10 years. I actually used to work at District 207, Main South, Main East, over in Park Ridge. I worked there for 4 years providing support and training for the staff and students. And then I went off on my own, and I'm doing this because I couldn't be held back by the public IT sector any longer, so I decided to start my own company. So how is this class going to be run? The reason we have all the computers turned off here today is because you won't need them. This is a glorified show and tell. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking up here. I urge you to ask any questions that you may have as they come up. We ran this class at Park Ridge Library about a month ago. Our timing was just fine, so we'll be able to fit all the content in without a problem. Any questions you have, be sure to please ask them out loud. Remember, your name will not be in the recording in any way. And questions are really great because if you're thinking about something, chances are someone else in the class is thinking the same thing. So don't be afraid, don't be shy. No question's a stupid question. If it truly is a stupid question, I'll let you know, but they usually don't exist. I'm kidding, don't worry. So I provided the agenda for everyone. If you don't have an agenda, please let Ruth know, and she will get you a copy of the agenda. I divided the class into 4 logical sections as best I could. First section is just about common ways to keep your computer up and running and functional, and some of the best practices that we give people when we go out to help them with their computers. Second part is going to be on security, things of how to stay safe online, how to keep your computer safe and secure. We're going to go a little bit over data and the importance of backups, or if you don't care about backups, why using a cloud synchronization service is your best friend. And the final part is everyone's favorite part, is saving money. How do you save money on new computers, buying toner refills, ink refills for your printer, all the stuff that people ask us, all those hidden nuggets that I've gleaned over the last 10 years. I'm going to share some of those secrets with you in the last part. And as I said, feel free to bring up any questions as we go along. I'm going to try to reserve about 10-15 minutes, if possible, at the end for any final questions that people have. But as we're going along, don't be afraid to raise your hand. I'll call on you, and we'll get your question answered as we proceed. We actually have a commercial that went live just about a month ago. We ran a commercial with Microsoft on the Surface 2 tablets. We've been doing a lot with customers and the Surface tablets as of the last half year or so, and Microsoft asked us to do a commercial. We couldn't say no. I will say I won't be dropping IT to go into acting anytime soon, but if you're interested, you can go on YouTube and catch our commercial that we did.
Microsoft asked you?
Microsoft asked us, yes.
Wow.
So it wasn't on TV, it was just a web commercial meant for IT professionals, but nonetheless, our first ever commercial. Our upcoming upcoming classes and events that we have going on, I always like touching on these so you know what's happening in the near future in terms of what we're offering in the next 4 or 5 months or so. Saturday, June 10th, we are running the first help desk of the year here at Niles Library. This is a very popular event at Park Ridge. We fill the house usually for that, and all it is you have technology questions or computer questions that you have. You can come in, and for 2 hours of time, we will be at your disposal. You can ask us anything. How do I do this on my smartphone? Why is my computer running slow? How would I do this on my laptop or my tablet? Any of those questions that you just don't know where to go to, you can come in for those 2 hours, Saturday, June 10th, from 10 a.m. to noon, I believe, Ruth, is what we set, and you can get all your questions answered. So it's first come, first served. If there's a line, you will have to wait within reason. We're going to be rerunning our Android tablets for beginners class over at Park Ridge Library August 28th. Another very popular class. If you've purchased one of the Android tablets from any of the stores over the last year or two, we're going to show you from start to finish how to use it. If you don't know what to do with it, if you don't know some of the neat apps that are out there, we're going to go over that in a 2-hour session. That is another neat class that we're going to be doing. We're going to be running a class on Outlook.com for beginners. This is Microsoft's free email service. We've done a lot of classes for Gmail. We thought it was only fair to provide some coverage for Microsoft's email service now as well. It's a good free email platform, very safe and secure, no storage limit. Unlike what Gmail, it caps you at about 15 gigabytes. You get unlimited free space from Outlook.com. So if you're interested in that, or you're looking to move from Yahoo or AOL email or Comcast email or any of those other poor email providers, I'll show you how to make the switch to the free Outlook.com service. And this is actually going to be our first class that we're going to be webcasting at the same time as well. So that's another experiment we're going to be trying. So for everyone that can't make it live to the class like this, we're actually going to be offering you a chance to watch from home as we're doing it live that morning. So the things that we're still in the works in terms of planning that, but that is on the horizon. We hope to make that a primetime offering for at least most of the classes that I offer. Hopefully. We'll see if we make it there. And I'm hoping to pitch Ruth on offering a class on Microsoft OneNote. I don't know, are you planning on doing any OneNote class in the near future?
I don't have one scheduled till September, so
okay.
We're good.
Okay, so hopefully I want to get that on the calendar at some point. OneNote used to be a paid tool. You had to pay Microsoft Office for, I believe it's the Home and Student Edition at least, or higher, to get that program. Microsoft just about 2 weeks ago said OneNote's free for everyone. So Mac, Windows, or the online version, you can get completely free and use. It is a digital notebook program. If you've never used a digital notebook like Evernote, Evernote's the most popular one that people have heard of. I think OneNote is a lot better. I use it to take all my notes for grad school and customer notes, and I can write on my laptop, and it actually searches through my handwritten notes. It's a very powerful program, and now that it's free, I think we need to give a little bit of exposure and get people trained up on it. So that'll be a class we'll hopefully offer late summer, probably sometime. So that's coming up. All right, any questions before we get started into the good stuff? Everyone's mesmerized, ready to go. All right. I'm going to say one quick thing about Windows XP and Office 2013. I've been harping on this every class that I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 to 5 months. Actually, the deadline just passed. April 8th, 2014 was the date that Microsoft cut off support for these two products. So if you have a 10-year-old computer running Windows XP at home, it's time to start thinking about moving off this platform. The problem with using these programs after Microsoft cuts off support is that all the criminals are out there writing nasty backdoors and exploits and bugs and all of that for that operating system, and Microsoft saying, we don't care, we're not supporting you anymore. And that date came and went. That was actually last week already. So if you're still running one of these pieces of software, this is more so than the Office 2003, but either of these programs are just as susceptible. So if you have a computer at home or computers still running this, it is time to start thinking about upgrading to Windows 7 or Windows 8 or to some kind of new system, because it's just going to continue getting more dangerous as time goes on. All right, section 1, keeping your machine humming and running nicely the way it should be. So people always give us a call and tell us their computer's not working at home or at their work, and there's a quick 3-pick list of items that usually fixes most computer problems out there. And if you don't have this written down, or if you didn't know these top 3, write this down, because this will save you a lot of frustration and headache down the road if you run into one of these. Because I will tell you, 90+%, I would say probably 95% of all computer problems that we get calls about are caused by one of these 3 issues. First top one, always check your cabling on your computer. When I say cabling, things like, my monitor is not working, someone thinks their monitor, of course, died, or their screen died. Well, it's usually the cable's loose, or the power cable. A lot of times I see people have especially their laptops or their desktops, they have the very tight cable management on their computers, and if it's just so tight where the connection just pops out just a little bit, that's the time where you don't get any power in your computer. So we get calls asking us about, why was my machine not turned on? Well, let's check our connections, put everything nice and snug. 4 times out of 5, that resolves the issues with my screen doesn't work, my keyboard's not working, my computer doesn't turn on, things of that nature. And if it's a problem related to internet networking, which is very important for most people these days, please give your ISP a call. Your ISP is your internet provider. It's going to be either AT&T or Comcast most likely, or Wide Open West. So those are really the 3 top internet providers in this area. So always give them a call before calling us, because what are we going to do when you call us about it? We're going to call them, right? So avoid the extra time, avoid the hassle, give them a call first. 9 times out of 10, the connection's down, they're doing maintenance in the neighborhood, you're just going to have to wait a few hours. So these top 3 things will save you a lot of headache and guessing and pounding your head on your computer and screaming at your machine like this dude over here. Go ahead, yes?
One piece of helpful information, I couldn't get on the internet yesterday, so I called Comcast and they told me that I have an outdated modem. It's only about maybe a year and a half old, but he said we're working on, and then he gave me a number, and mine was a 9 and they're working on 10, and that's why it has glitches. So he said, you should get another modem, we'll send it to you, and I asked him to come out and put it in. So there's some chance if you have paid for them to come out to you as part of your monthly fee, they can come out and do it. So modem being outdated is one problem. And then a question.
Yes.
If we're real tight with our cords, can we somehow exchange it with the use of someone like you who knows what to exchange it for to be longer? And is there a way to have a nice
Almost every cord out there provides there is some kind of extension cord out there for every single cord. I'm using one right now, USB extension for my camera. I'm using an extra long USB cord for my microphone over here. Power cords even for desktop computers. I have one over here in my my bag somewhere. Let's see, there it is. Yeah, here's an extension cord for a regular computer power cable for a desktop computer. It's got a female end and a male end on that side for you. So almost every computer cable that is out there has some sort of cable like this that you can purchase. Maybe not at Best Buy, but Radio Shack would probably carry it, or if you give us a call, we have access to vendors that we can get this stuff for very, very cheap. So yes, it is very simple and easy to get stuff like that purchased, and so you can extend it, because while keeping very tight and taut cables is good sometimes, if it's like that for too long, that's where you could start seeing issues where that power cable just starts pulling out a little bit too much on you. So yes, it can be done. There is an answer to almost every cable length problem out there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, perfect. The topic of dust. I love this topic because we are solving this problem for a lot of people out there. Does dust kill machines? Yes, indeed it does. This is the difference between your computer working for upwards of 6, 7, 8 years or working for 2, 3, 4 years. Dust is a big, big issue with computers today, and it's something that actually most people don't think about, right? We don't think about a lot of things that go on inside of our car. We don't think about or want to think about things that happen inside of our computer, but it's something that we should take notice to, especially if you have a home with either a lot of kids or that has a lot of pets, and or a computer that sits right on the ground on a carpet or on a wooden floor. And one thing on that, I would say, if you can pick your computer up and not sit it right on the ground level of your home or your bedroom or wherever you keep the computer, you're going to save yourself a lot of headaches with having to clean a machine out due to dust collection like that. Because the problem with keeping your computer on ground level is that there's a lot of residual dust. There's a lot of ground dust that is all over your house. If you ever look at your wood floor, when it's really sunny and shining on the floor, you'll see how much dust is there. Now imagine a computer that just has a fan that's sucking all that in every time that computer is turned on. And you can imagine how and why we get to situations like this. And I have seen situations that bad on some of the computers that we've worked on. So not only does this harbor a lot of diseases and all the other nasties and colds and flus and all that and the dust that sits in there, but the bigger problem is that when this dust collects on all the things like fans, there's a fan. I'm going to open up this sample computer here and show you how this looks, but there's a fan over here that needs to have airflow going over it. This power unit over here needs to have airflow going in and out of on it. So if you have all these items covered up with dust, everything gets hotter. As things get hotter and the longer they stay hotter, the faster your components are going to die. And this is why I have people that call me and say, hey, my computer is dead and it's only been 3 years. Why did this happen? This is a big problem. So this is something that we have to be mindful of. Now, most situations don't get this bad. This is probably 8 to 10 years worth of dust collection, so that is an unnecessarily bad example. But still, I wanted to bring this up because this is part of what we do when we go out to clean machines for people. Is we go inside and we actually dust them out with a simple device like this. Actually, this is probably the best 60 or 70 bucks you can spend to keep your machine working really nicely. This is called a DataVac. This is something that all of us at FireLogic carry around in our tool bags. So if you call us out, we're going to probably hook one of these up and clean your system out for you. You can get this on Amazon. It's called, again, the DataVac. This is a bona fide, actually I'll show you how loud this thing is. It's fairly loud. It is a bona fide can of compressed air that never runs out. It runs on electricity. You buy it once, it'll probably last you forever. And just to show you how much power this thing has, pretty powerful. It's like a big hair dryer, but it doesn't heat your computer up. So what we do with something like that is, let me pull this table forward here really quick. So what we do on almost every computer that we service, if it hasn't been cleaned out and you've told us, well, I've never dusted my machine out, here's what we do, and I'll show you how you can do it yourself. You don't have to call one of us out to do this. If you have a tower system or a desktop system on your for your computer as a computer system, every PC, I'm not going to say this about Macs, as Macs are tougher to get into. You may want to have a professional like us help you with a Mac system, as they don't want you getting your hands in there. But PCs are very easy. They always have a cover that comes off that you can pull off. This has a very simple thumb screw that you can undo yourself, slide the door off. If it's a desktop computer, sometimes they have a latch that you can pull or tug, but there is usually a way to open this case up, because PCs are usually very serviceable in this way. You pop the cover off, drop that down, and you're going to see inside the computer system. Now don't be afraid. There's nothing that scary in here as long as you're not pulling components out or taking a vacuum cleaner to this. Don't use a vacuum cleaner. The problem with vacuum cleaners is that you're going to start moving the vacuum cleaner, and I've seen people do this, and they told me that what they've done, they try to get in there and get all the residual dust, as this system is very nasty. It has a lot of residual dust, so people are going to get that vacuum cleaner head and nozzle right on there, and they're try to push that nozzle really deep onto the system board, on the parts on here, and when you do that, you're going to start damaging components, because there's a lot of stuff in here that's fragile. But it's not going to affect anything if you're not poking a vacuum cleaner nozzle on it. That's why using a DataVac unit like this outside, go on your porch. When we come out to your home, we're going to go on your porch or your back porch or something, on your balcony, and turn this on. Don't do it inside the home. If you do it inside the home, you know exactly what's going to happen. All that dust is going to end up right back in that computer system, or in your lungs, which we don't want that either. So you open the system up, and very simply, no matter if it's a desktop or a tower machine like this, key points that we want to go ahead and just blow off with the DataVac system. Very important is the cooling fan that covers the processor. It's going to be larged and recessed like this on the system board. You want to clean that off. Almost pretty much any fan. Just think of it this way. Any fan inside the computer. This one has one here on the processor. There's a case fan that's here. A lot of machines have a case fan up front, on the bottom front of the system, to keep the airflow coming in. So comes in through the front and moves out through the back. Just take that DataVac, that thing's so powerful, it will blow out all the dust on there. It'll take you probably 30, 45 seconds, and you'll have a completely clean system. You also want to make sure that you blow into the back fan here on the power unit. Every computer has a power supply on it that has a fan like this. You can't get your fingers in there, but that DataVac will definitely get that dust out of there. So give this thing a blow, like I said, 30 seconds to a minute, and get all the dust out of the system like this. Doing this maybe once a year, once every 14, 16 months will probably be the difference between a computer that lasts you 4 years and a computer that lasts you 8 or 9 years. And people that do cleaning on a consistent basis, like I do on all of our systems and our technicians do on our internal staff and home computers, our computers don't die due to dust, things like that. They die due to obsolescence, and that's the way it should be. That's what you want. You're getting your money's worth then for your computer that you purchased. So, like I said, very simple. Once you're done dusting it out, take your cover, pop it back on. Just make sure it's not plugged in or turned on or running, because you might get static electricity that pops through the machine, and that you'll have some fried components if you do that. But as long as you unplug it, take it outside, pop your case back on for yourself. And this one's really easy to work on, and that's it. Plug everything back in, and you have a clean computer system. And if we have to come out, I mean, we'll charge you at least a half hour's worth of work to get that done. You can easily do that yourself for the cost of either compressed air if you want to, but I recommend just getting a DataVac, because you can use this to clean out your keyboard as well. Everyone's keyboard's got the sandwiches sitting in between the keys and all the other hair. So this is very nice for dusting almost anything off in the house. So this is a very versatile, multifunctional tool. You'll purchase it once, it'll last you forever. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Any questions about dusting or keeping a machine clean? Yes?
Is dust an issue with laptops?
Dust is an issue with laptops, so I should have mentioned that. I'm not going to mess around with my laptop because I might screw up my webcam recording and all that, but laptops do. Does anyone have a laptop here? I can
I can bring you one. I don't have it in the room.
Okay, that's fine. If it's going to take...
I do.
You do have a laptop? Okay, yeah, you can just get that out really quickly. I just want to show everyone where, because laptops do actually have vents. Every laptop does have usually a side vent on it, as well as a bottom fan that runs, and that is where the cool air comes in and goes over all the components on the inside, but that is also where all the dust comes in and collects. So if you use a DataVac on that vent, like we do when we come out and service laptops, you'll see not as much dust as this, but you'll see some dust fly out of there as it does accumulate, especially after 3, 4, or 5 years. Thank you. So laptop like this, very common HP, good laptop. This one has actually, like I said, it has a bottom fan over here. Now you can't exactly see it. I know where it is because I work on these so often, but if you know where the vents are on the side of the unit and the lower side over here, you can usually trace the fan back to a very close proximity from where that is. So if I were using a DataVac on this laptop, I would spritz some air in here, and the side vent over here, and probably even give your keyboard a good blasting as well. So you never know what crusties are sitting over there, maybe in the sides of your screen as well. But doing that every 6 months or so, as laptops are a little bit more sensitive to dust accumulation, and they do tend to die faster due to smaller amounts of dust, because again, much smaller than a computer like this. There's a lot of breathing room. These things rely on good airflow going into them and keeping them cool. So like I said, doing that about every half year to a year on a laptop, you will get your full life out of a laptop very, very easily. Yes?
What can be used to clean off the screen of either a monitor or a laptop?
Cleaning a screen on either a desktop computer or a laptop computer is very simple. You don't need anything special. A little bit of lukewarm water rinsed out on a lint-free cloth if possible is a very easy way to do it. So make sure it's not running. Make sure you rinse it out. And then you can just wipe it down. If that still doesn't get it clean, say have special solvents that they sell at like Best Buy or Office Depot that are just meant for screen cleaning. Don't use Windex on your laptop screen. Windex has chemicals that actually damages the special layers that are on computer screens. It's not a regular piece of glass. It's a special coated piece of glass. And if you use Windex too much on it, you'll notice areas where the special coating is starting to smudge off. So don't use Windex on a computer screen. Yes?
What about the aerosol cans with the spray, to spray it?
Sure.
They have these aerosol cans you can buy in the store.
You can do that. Yeah, compressed air works. I just think that over a lifetime they just get quite expensive when you purchase them. A 3-pack is like $12 these days. You can get a lifetime's worth supply for $60 on a DataVac.
You don't have to know what the substance is that they use, that they sell at Best Buy for the special cleaning, do you?
I don't know what that is, no.
Okay.
I mean, I would, if you want to find that out, go to Best Buy, look at what's on inside the ingredients, and maybe you can cross-reference that to something like vinegar. I don't know what it would be. Yeah, go ahead.
Before you take your CPU outside,
Mhm.
I always feel intimidated when I have to unplug things from the back because I'm a total beginner, knowing what the cords are. Do you highly recommend labeling the cords with...
Even simpler, even simpler. Everyone's got a smartphone or a little camera. Take multiple pictures at different angles of all the cables plugged in.
Oh, yes.
It'll take you 2 seconds. We do it all the time when we unplug complex systems like servers and offices. We take a picture of a few different angles of where the cables are, look at your picture, and plug everything back in as it was. So, and if you have a few cables that are the same size or same kind of connector and you're worried about misplacing those, maybe just use a little a zip tie or something, or a little post-it note on those. For the 5 minutes your computer will be unplugged, it'll be just fine. A very simple way. Take a picture of it. Don't waste time doing too much labeling.
For laptop, is it better to have a little elevation for airflow, or is it okay?
So yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Some laptops, especially HP laptops that were made between 2008 and 2012, they had some overheating issues. Not the only ones, but HP was notorious for these kind of heating issues, and they always told people, keep it elevated or get a cooling pad for your laptop. Don't run your laptop, in general, don't run your laptop on your bed, on your comforter, on a blanket. What happens when you run a laptop on a comforter or blanket when the blanket surrounds all the cooling vents on that laptop?
No air.
And no air, exactly. Just like you, if you put a bag over your face, you're not going to be able to breathe. A laptop's exactly the same way. So it's no different. You cannot run a laptop on a blanket or on a bed. If you're going to do it on a bed, put it on your lap so the laptop can still breathe, but don't put it on the bed so that naturally the comforter and all your pillows and all that, everything will cover up those vents, because that amount of time that you use that laptop where it's overheating, that's going to be enough to kill that laptop and shorten its lifespan by, I don't know, 1 year, 2 years, maybe faster. But I've seen a lot of situations, especially college students when they're out at the dorms, they like to use the laptop out on the bed, and I've seen too many scenarios where they've killed the laptop because they were using it on the bed, on the blanket, things like that. So if you have problems with overheating, a cooling pad, you can get a cooling pad. It's pretty much just a bona fide little slice of plastic that sits under the laptop that shoots extra cool air onto the bottom of the unit, and in turn allows better airflow inside the laptop. So something like that's usually like $20, $25, $30. Good investment to keep a machine running for a few more years. Okay? And in general, the machines that have bigger cooling issues are the 17-inch laptops. So if you have a laptop that has a 17-inch screen, it's probably one of the biggest size screens you can get on a laptop. Those in general have tougher times with cooling. You may want to go ahead and find a cooling pad for your laptop. Okay? You can get them at Best Buy, Office Depot, all over. They're very prominent. Any other questions about dust? Everyone loves the topic of dust, it seems. But it's an important topic. Like I said, this is very, very critical because it's something just most people don't think about, and it was one of the biggest reasons we have to replace computers prematurely. So take dust seriously, invest in some compressed air or DataVac, clean your machine out. If you have a lot of pets in the home, I'd say every 6 months. If you don't have a lot of pets, I would say about once a year, but you will be able to get the full lifespan out of your computer then. A simple program that you can use to help clean up your system, and if you've ever had us come out and do service, you may have seen one of us using this program. It's called CCLEANER. The full name, the front part of the name, it's truncated. I will not say the word, but you can imagine what this first C on that CCLEANER stands for. Okay? It's a program that declutters the gunk on your machine. There is a Mac version and there is a PC version of this program. And what it does is it is a one-stop shop for cleaning out cookies, temp files, leftover files, broken registry entries, all that gunk that sits and collects on a machine. These days, this program with one button cleans all of it off. It's a very powerful but very useful program, completely free. And you can get it just by Googling CCLEANER, that name, I put it on the agenda as well. Just Google CCLEANER and you can download that free of charge. There's a professional edition. You don't need it. Don't buy it. If you do buy it, get your money back. There's no need to buy it. It's meant for businesses, not for individuals. But CCLEANER is a free program. When you launch it, I'll show you how it looks. It is a program that looks like this. I'm running the latest version right now. Basically, all it asks you, I would leave all the default settings as they are on this first area here of the cleaner. There's only 2 items within CCLEANER that I would recommend using that are safe for individual users or average PC users to play with. Unless you're a technician like myself, I wouldn't play with the tools or options area, as you can damage your system as well with this. So it's a double-edged sword with this program. But you can use CCLEANER, the cleaning portion of this, leave all the default settings checked. It goes ahead, sees all the things you have installed on your computer, and cleans all the gunk out on them. It doesn't get any easier than this. So you go ahead, you just leave all the default settings checked on the bottom right-hand corner. Actually, let me show you how that looks. It's right over here. There's this button called Run Cleaner that you can use on the bottom right-hand corner. It will go ahead and scour the entire machine and throw all the gunk out and tell you exactly how much space you saved. And it'll take you, if you're running often, it'll take you probably about 30 seconds. If you haven't done it ever on your machine's 3, 4, 5 years old, it might take a good 4, 5, 6 minutes to run. But it's cleaning off all that space that you've lost due to programs that just left stuff behind. It's like family members that refuse to pick up after themselves in the home. This pretty much solves that issue for the computer side of things, okay? And the other part of this program that you can use is the registry cleaner. You can go ahead and leave all the defaults checked over here. You can do scan for issues. It'll go ahead and look through and see, oh, I got a lot of registry problems myself right now. It'll find all the things that are, the registry, for those that don't know, is pretty much the address book within the back side of Windows that goes ahead and tells the machine how to do everything it does. How to open software, how to work with hardware, how to talk to the internet, how to do everything that it does. That's what the registry is, and just like anything else, it's prone to getting dirtied up with things that get left over from old programs and such. So you can use the registry cleaner and clean those items out very simply. Those commercials that say, speed up your PC while my PC's running 1,000 times better than it was when I purchased it, you've probably seen those commercials. That's a load of crock on what they're saying in the commercials, but this program is the only good, safe program you can use to get the effect of what they're talking about. So don't spend the money, download CCLEANER, run this. You will save yourself a lot of computer hard drive space. You will speed your computer up as well. And I would say do this probably on a maybe 2 to 3 month basis. If you're a power user, use your machine every single day, maybe once a month. So it's a good program to run. I've never harmed a computer. I've never taken a computer down by using this program. Again, stay out of the last 2 areas, the tools area and the options area. Those are meant for technicians, not for average users. Go ahead.
Any particular website you favor for the download, or does it matter, like FileHippo or CCLEANER?
FileHippo, I believe, has it, but like I said, if you Google CCLEANER, the maker of the program is called Piriform. If you go on their website and get it, it is the safest place, straight from the manufacturer, straight from the maker. So Piriform is the one that makes it. If you Google it, it'll be the first result that you get. Yes?
What about a defragmentation? I have that under my accessories.
Oh, glad you mentioned that, because that's actually coming up
okay.
very shortly. I'm going to
Isn't
mention
that
why defragmentation is not necessary anymore.
But I mean, the part that does what this does is that...
Defrag does not do what this does.
It's
Defrag is a
something
totally
else.
different concept.
It's something else that cleans things out, like cookies and other things.
There is a disk cleanup tool that comes with Windows.
Is that just as good as this?
It is not just as good.
I didn't think so.
No. No. The built-in one is fairly good, but this is excellent at what it does. We don't use disk cleanup. All of my technicians on staff, we always use CCLEANER. Every machine we jump on, this is the first tool we install if you don't already have it. So, yes.
If you install CCLEANER, do they have I guess you call it an EXE version of this? In other words, you can put it on a thumb drive.
I think they do have a portable version. I believe they do. I don't use that often because we put it on machines and we just keep it on there when we do service within them. But I think they do offer a portable one. And they have a Mac version as well. As you can see, we have a Mac, CCLEANER for Mac as well. It's a little bit newer than the PC version, I will say, so it doesn't go as deep. but still we've solved a lot of problems on the Mac side just by running CCLEANER on the system. So good tool to use. First line of cleaning for yourself before you have to get a professional involved. Okay?
And it says PC, but you can use it for laptops also.
Oh yeah, when I say PC, I mean Windows computers. So laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, all the full gamut of all the Windows machines that are out there these days. If it runs Windows, you can run CCLEANER on it. The only thing that doesn't run CCLEANER are the Surface tablets. They run a special version of Windows that doesn't work with CCLEANER. But those are the only ones.
If it's so great, you would think that Microsoft would have incorporated it when your operating system is.
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. Microsoft does buy out a lot of companies, but they don't buy everyone. So
If it does so many good things,
sure.
you would think that it would be incorporated in the operating system like defragmentation. You would think this could also be included in the operating system, that you could download it or click on the computer to do this.
It could be. I'd rather keep them as a separate company because I think they release new updates every single month. I know Microsoft wouldn't do that for this product if they put it inside Windows, so I prefer it as a separate program. I would rather see a separate development team working on this on a consistent basis. And the other thing is, they probably wouldn't make a Mac version if Microsoft put this into Windows. So I would say it's more beneficial as a separate entity like it is right now. But that's just my 2 cents. Okay? Do you have a question?
It's probably unrelated to this, but no, I'll ask you later.
Okay. All right, let's keep moving. So that's CCLEANER, totally free. Download it if you don't have it already. Very good tool. We use it all the time for our cleaning. Power. I'm not going to spend too much time on power, but power is something that a lot of people tend to overlook. I forgot this was from some movie, National Lampoon or something like that. I pulled this off of Google. As we can see, we got the power strip into extension cord just running through there.
How many fire trucks?
If you have this going on at home, you need to address this when you get out of this class today, because this is very dangerous. Not only dangerous safety-wise, but dangerous to your computer system. You don't want to be doing daisy chains of power strips to your computer system because the chance for electrical damage increases every single daisy chain you start making. The problem with people when they daisy chain these things is they start to plug in too much because they say, oh, I've got 12 outlets, I've got 20 outlets now, I might as well just plug everything in this little daisy chain. When you overload a single outlet on your wall that's meant for rated or maybe 15 or 20 amps at most, an outlet was never made to handle that many devices on a single outlet on your wall. So you want to be making sure that whatever outlet your computer and your monitor and your computer accessories plug into, it's totally separate from all the other junk that sits around on your computer desk. Split that stuff off as you can. The other thing I will say, invest in a decent, at the very least, invest in a decent surge protector. All of my technicians carry at least one of these in their car so we can replace them for people when we go out and do service for them. This is a Belkin unit. We sell a lot of Belkin surge protectors. I'm not going to say power strip. There's a difference between power strip and surge protector. A power strip is nothing more than a bona fide device that gives you more power outlets. A surge protector protects you against electrical lightning strikes. Over voltage that happens if a lightning strike hits or you get over voltage from the electrical company. Any of those items that come through the power lines, this is a good first line of defense for that. A basic power strip, and a power strip is usually under $10. So if you're spending less than $10 on a device like this, you're not getting a good device. I would say you need to be spending at least $15 or $20 on a device. This runs about 16 bucks when we sell it to clients. And this is a very good item. They put a warranty on how much protection they will give you in terms of electrical protection on here. This is rated for 3,000 joules, which is a lot. I would say a good surge protector should have at least about 1,500 joules of protection. If it doesn't or doesn't even say how many joules it protects against, you're probably just using a power strip. You need to get that unit replaced. I cannot tell you how many customers we go out to who have failed power supplies in their computer or failed electrical components on their computer due to using a cheap power strip. You're saving $5 now, but you're not going to be laughing when that $500 computer goes out because it was the difference between a $10 power strip or a $20 surge protector for yourself. Yes, go ahead.
Is it true that even if you have a surge protector, if there's a huge rainstorm or hurricane or something,
Yes.
you should avoid using your computer?
Yes, I would probably still avoid it. This does not guarantee 100% that you're not going to have issues. The only thing that comes close to guaranteeing, as close as possible, is a battery backup device. You've probably seen battery backups. They run about 85 to 120 bucks at Best Buy, Office Depot. I usually don't recommend those for every customer. The times I do recommend them, almost every business that has servers at their office have a battery backup running. And people that live close to industrial areas. You may not know this, but if you live close to an industrial zone, I have a lot of customers, I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you live close to an area that has a lot of industrial warehouses, they have machinery that tends to pull a lot of power, and they tend to have brownouts in the area. If you know that your home has problems with electrical supply, you may want to think about getting a battery backup. A battery backup, what it does, it is so expensive because it has a big battery inside of it that filters and cleans all the power before it reaches your computer. It's like a water filter for your computer, right? You want to drink clean water if you have water problems. Your computer wants clean electricity if you have electrical problems. So that is in essence a water filter for your computer system. It will filter out all the impurities, all the brownouts, all the sags that happen in the power lines, not just in industrial zones, but homes that just have very, very old wiring where you're very susceptible to having issues with the slightest turn of events. You may want to invest in one that could save your computer from frying up and going down on you. So it's a worthwhile investment. Yes, go ahead.
Power outage would qualify. We have many power outages that are unexplained, and we do live near a power source, a tower.
A tower?
We're in a neighborhood, there's businesses near us. And
Is it industrial?
No, but they've had fires, big fires.
Oh, really?
In this place, and our power goes out many times during the rain.
If that's the case, I would say you'd be a good candidate for a battery backup. I would do it. I wouldn't risk it. Because it could be that one time you're using it, when that power gets turned off and goes out unexpectedly is when your machine's going to go out. So I would say, instead of wasting $600 on a new computer if it goes out, I would say spend the $100, get a battery backup, and secure your machine from any issues of that nature. Yes?
Some providers, when you get that UVerse or Affinity, supposedly they give you a battery backup that lasts like 4 hours.
So they give you a battery backup that goes into the modem inside of the device they give you. And the reason they do that is because a lot of providers like Comcast or WOW, they bundle telephone service inside that. So if you switch your telephone service over to a provider like that, unlike analog phone lines, old school phone lines, where phones still work even when power goes out, that's not necessarily the case with a phone service through Comcast or AT&T or UVerse or Wide Open West.
It's like a black box.
It is. As though it doubles as your modem, as your gateway for all your telephone devices. And the reason there's a battery is because when power goes out, you have 4 hours of calling time if you need to make an emergency phone call when that happens. Because if it didn't have a battery, you would have no phone service.
So
if that
is
happened.
this separate?
Totally separate. All that protects is the device, the modem device from the provider. You still need a battery backup to protect your computer system. Because your computer doesn't plug into that. It's just the device that provides internet and phone service for your home. So yes, completely separate. Very good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Derrick, when you say battery backup, is that a small UPS system?
Exactly what it is. UPS, uninterruptible power supply. That's exactly what it is. I say battery backup as people understand it a little bit easier. But good company to look for if you want to buy a battery backup is APC. 3-letter name, APC. They make probably the best battery backups out there. They make very affordable units. We keep in stock $85, $90 battery backups from APC. They look like this, but they look just like this, except they're very thick. So they're probably about, this thick. Just as long, this thick, and they're very heavy, so they're not easy to move around. But as I said, the reason they're that heavy and bulky is because they have a big computer in there that is filtering all the power and keeps your system running for about 30, 40 minutes if the power goes out. So if you're working on your computer in a rainstorm and the power goes out, you have time to shut everything down, close everything out, and you get some reprieve instead of just being closed out of everything unexpectedly. So very good device. Not necessary for everyone, but like I said, you know if your home has electrical problems. Any other questions about electricity? Yes.
So if the computer is turned off during a storm, would that protect the computer?
No, because even if the computer's turned off, you can still be affected by big electrical surges that come through the lines. The only way you're 100% protected is if you're going and unplugging your whole computer out of the wall when a lightning strike happens.
Is that okay?
Or when rainfalls happen.
Is it okay?
You can do it. I think it's a nuisance to have to do it every single time. Are you going to be home every single time a rainstorm hits to make sure it's unplugged? I would say don't deal with that. Just get an $85, $90 battery backup and let that do the work for you.
So would it stop that not affect it even when it's not being used?
What was that? Electrical?
Yes, with the computer. If it's not being used, would that affect it? The thunderstorm?
Yes. Just as she said, if it's plugged into the wall, anything plugged into power outlets is susceptible to any damage or electrical strike that comes through the power grid system in your home. It doesn't have to be on, it doesn't have to be off, it doesn't matter.
I didn't understand.
If it's plugged in and connected to the wiring inside the walls, it can't get hit. And that's something a lot of people don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Even with
Yep.
a surge protector.
Surge protector helps. So in terms of decent, better, best, decent is your power strip, better is your surge protector, best is your battery backup. That's how I would rate them. There's nothing 100%, as I've even seen battery backups where there was such a big strike in a home that even the battery backup couldn't handle it. Very, very rare, but it still could happen. So there's no 100% protection, but that is the scale of how you can protect yourself if you have issues like that. Okay?
Large companies, what kind of surge protectors do they use for large companies with big servers in case of a power?
They have very expensive battery backups that I can't even purchase myself that get put into place.
And also, what about surge protection for big companies?
Those things double as surge protection. A battery backup doubles as a surge protector. It's a surge protector on steroids. Yeah, it's true. It is. So it's not like you have to purchase a separate surge protector and then get a battery backup to it. No, you're getting all in one if you buy a battery backup device. So I want to make that clear in case anyone was thinking you need both of them to get the protection. Okay? Any other questions about electricity? All right. Like I said, if you have one of these going on at home, please dismantle that disaster waiting to happen.
Oops.
Cleaning your keyboard. Very funny. You may laugh at the fact that I've got my keyboards here in my dishwasher. But if you're looking to clean your keyboard very easily without sitting there with cotton swabs or the DataVac, or there's things that refuse to come off of it, I thought this was crazy when I heard it at first, but your dishwasher is the best way to clean your keyboards. So this is actually a picture I took. I did a cleaning on one of my desktop keyboards, actually a laptop keyboard as well. If you're inclined enough, you can take your laptop keyboard off any Windows laptop and you can clean it in the dishwasher as well. As long as you don't put soap in it, as long as you don't put it on the highest temperature setting, I would say in just the average temperature setting, pop that keyboard right into the dishwasher. If it's a wireless keyboard, take the batteries out. Make sure the batteries are not left in there if it's a wireless one. But a wired keyboard like these two that I had, very simple. Run it through one wash cycle with no soap, and these things come out sparkling clean. As clean or better than the day you bought them. Doesn't cost you a dime. You don't have to go out and get any special solvents or anything from the store. This works very, very well. And I have done it for customers too that have asked in the past. So, crazy, I know, but it works.
What if
Yes.
what if your husband is your dishwasher and you don't have a dishwasher? Are there things you can spray inside?
If you don't have a dishwasher, I'd probably say the best plan of attack is to get a cloth and use some rubbing alcohol, some 90% or higher rubbing alcohol, and you can use that. It's going to take you longer, most definitely, but you can clean off the keyboard with rubbing alcohol. That's what we do when we go on site and if someone asks us to clean their keyboard, we do it with rubbing alcohol.
It's just the outside, right?
It's just the outside. You're not going to be able to do the inside. There's no easy way to do the inside if you don't have a dishwasher. So maybe bribe the neighbor to put this in their next wash cycle if necessary. But yeah, like I said, it definitely works. I put in up to 4 keyboards, 5 keyboards at a time. Doesn't matter, you can pop that dishwasher full of keyboards, depending on how many computers you have in the home. Let them dry out. I prefer you do this during a springtime month or definitely a summer month, so you can leave the keyboard top side down, let that dry out for probably at least a full day or so outside. After that, like I said, as good as new. All the gunk, all the stuff between the keys, all the hair and all that should usually either be fully out or it'll be collected to one side of the keyboard. You can use then something like a toothpick to just pull the rest of that gunk out very easily, and you are good to go. Very, very simple. So what I thought was a wives' tale actually is 100% true. Okay?
Wouldn't it help just to wash your hands before you type away? Never mind. Don't bother answering me. Just go ahead.
As much as we try to follow best practice like that, we know it doesn't work. In front of my computer, I know everyone else does too, and unless you're very, very good about that, you may not have to worry about this, but for the rest of us, this is the easiest way to get that gunk problem
I
resolved.
see you've got tuna fish in yours too, huh?
Not tuna fish, but I've got some breadcrumbs in there as well. So, very, very good tip. I learned about this actually on the internet when I was searching about it about a year ago, and I've been doing it ever since. So, give it a try. Just make sure you don't put any soap in there. If you put soap in there, you're going to ruin that keyboard potentially. Defragmentation. Someone asked about defrag over here in the class. Yes, Microsoft still includes disk defragmenter in every modern version of Windows. I will tell you from a technician's point of view, defragmentation does more harm than good. There's no need to be defragmenting. Windows, since Windows Vista, had a service that runs in the background and does what this tool does that we used to run on our old Windows 98, Windows XP machines. There's no need to run defragmenter. Windows is smart enough to do it behind the scenes. Same thing with Macs. There's absolutely no need to be running disk defragmentation. Even if you open this tool and analyze it and it shows you some space that's not contiguous on your hard drive, regardless, I would let it be. Windows or Mac will handle it on its own. So don't waste any money on programs like this. Don't churn your hard drive. This puts a lot of stress on your hard drive, in case you didn't know, which is part of the reason why a lot of technicians like myself don't recommend it, as it's very, very stressful on the disk. You put a lot of stress on the mechanics and the internals of that drive. And people that I see that do this on a monthly basis still, they tend to burn out their hard drives a lot faster than the rest of us. So I would say, don't bother with it. Windows does a good job, Mac does a good job. This is old hat. Microsoft shouldn't even be including this software within Windows anymore. That's all I'm going to say about disk defrag. Any questions about this outdated necessity? If you do it now, forget about it. Take it off your monthly to-do list.
What about the other one where it cleans?
Disk cleanup?
Yeah,
Disk cleanup, CCLEANER. Use CCLEANER.
Oh, okay.
CCLEANER is the disk cleanup on steroids.
Right. Okay.
So I haven't used disk cleaner, my gosh, for probably 3 years now, 4 years. CCLEANER is all you need. Okay? How to save power on your laptop or mobile phone. A lot of people always ask us, how can I get the most power out of my laptop or mobile device or my tablet or my smartphone on a single charge, as it seems to die out very quickly on me. There's 3 common things that you can do to save power. This is a few quick tips that you definitely want to remember for your units. Biggest thing is turn down your screen timeout. Laptops, tablets, smartphones all have a setting for screen timeout. If I go into my Windows 8 power settings here really quickly, I will show you what it looks like on here. Go into my plan settings, right over here. Turn off the display. There's a setting for when my laptop is plugged in. There's a setting for when it's on battery. You want to make sure your on battery setting in Windows is set to something like 15 minutes or less. If you're letting that screen stay turned on when you're not using it, you haven't used it for 30, 45 minutes, you are wasting battery life. The same goes for a smartphone. Same thing goes for a tablet device. So you want to make sure your screen timeout, especially on a smartphone or a tablet that have smaller batteries, by default, usually it's set to no more than about 3 or 4 minutes. I would say turn that down. My smartphone, for example, my Windows phone, I have set to 30 seconds timeout. And I go, usually even a full tough day on my smartphone of email and calling, I get a full day of battery life on my phone. It's a full smartphone. I can do everything I want on it. But like I said, that screen timeout is very important because if I left it on a minute or 2 minutes, that could be the difference between half a day or 3/4 of a day and a full day where I only have to charge it once for myself. So check your screen timeout.
Where is this? Is this in the control panel?
This is in the power settings.
Oh, power settings?
Yeah, so I went into power settings on my laptop, and that's where you can find that. This screen looks the same for every version of Windows since Vista. Hasn't changed.
Okay.
So go into control panel, power options, edit plan settings. Okay? And every smartphone is different. I'm not going to tell everyone how to change it on your smartphone, as every phone out there is different, so you'll have to find that out or call your cell provider to figure that one out. But every phone, you can change the screen timeout when it's not being used, as well as your tablet device. Yes?
On my computer, after a certain period of time, it says monitor going to sleep.
That is the screen timeout.
That's
So it's exactly the same thing.
okay.
Yeah, so if it's doing that, it's doing the right thing. But like I said, for a laptop, tablet, smartphone, it is very important. For a desktop computer, it's more so for saving electricity than the sake of worrying about battery life.
Your display here a minute ago said that for laptops, you can go in and slow down the spin on.
Yep, I'll mention that in just a moment. For a laptop, you can turn down the hard drive spin down time. So the amount of time where your laptop's not being used. Every traditional laptop, mine doesn't have this, but most laptops out there you purchase still have traditional hard drives that have spinning components. And what does that spinning component need? It needs a lot of electricity to keep that spinning disk drive moving inside the laptop. If you have a traditional hard drive inside your laptop, you want to make sure your hard drive spin down time, and that is again in power settings, power options. If I go in here and I go into my advanced power settings, right here there's an option called hard disk. This setting right over here, this controls how long it takes before my hard disk stops spinning. I think by default 20 minutes is what Windows sets, but if you've changed it on your own, I would still go ahead and check this to make sure that, especially on battery, your turn off hard disk is set to something like 10 or 20 minutes. If that's on for never turning off, that means even if you don't use your laptop for 2 hours, that disk drive is spinning away and eating up all that battery life. And that's a big reason why a lot of people see their batteries drain very quickly, is they have that hard disk just churning and churning and churning, even when they're out eating lunch or something like that. So
Where is that control panel to what?
it was in the same power area I was just in,
Oh, okay.
but I went into advanced power settings. So it's an advanced setting that you can adjust. So Macs have this in the energy saver area. Windows machines have it in the advanced power settings. Another important option I would check. The other item is your screen brightness. A lot of people think that, keeping the brightness up to full all the time is necessary, and this is most important for smartphones, as they are very affected by screen brightness. Most smartphones these days, there's a setting that you can choose for automatic brightness, which adjusts the brightness of your smartphone screen depending on how much ambient light there is, and how powerful that light is. So if you're out in the sun, for example, my Windows phone turns up its brightness very heavily because the natural sunlight is the most harsh on an electronic device like this. So it turns the brightness up, but when I'm looking at it at home or some setting like this where I don't need much light, it turns it down for me. It's a very good setting to have turned on, because that could be the difference between getting, again, 3/4 of a day or half a day, or a full day or more on your smartphone device. So check and make sure in your power settings you have the automatic setting turned on for brightness. All the major phones have it: iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, BlackBerry. They have the setting, you just need to find it in your phone settings. And I've seen people almost double their battery life just by using that automatic brightness setting in combination with that screen timeout. Two big settings. Screens on any device in general, laptops, especially if you have a 17-inch laptop screen, screens are the largest battery hogs of any device. It's one thing that manufacturers have not figured out how to turn down energy consumption on his screens, because it takes a lot of energy to pump all that brightness out of a screen. There was a question I saw.
I'm just curious, why would your laptop hard drive continue to spin for hours if there's no activity on the... I mean, I got the impression you said that if you let it just sit there and you go do something for 2 hours, and if you don't have your spin down time set for 20 minutes, whatever, why would it continue to spin if you're not doing anything with it?
It's just a mechanical device that either is told to stay on and keep churning, or to be turned off. I mean, it doesn't know the difference. What is telling it to turn off is Windows or your Mac.
Okay,
So your computer is telling it, Because the device is not smart enough to be able to tell that you're gone or you're away. It's actually your operating system that has to be able to tell it, hey, shut off if you're not here for 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
Okay.
Or just stay running.
Okay, I guess I thought the disks spun in response to keystrokes when something was happening. But
No, what's going on behind the scenes is the computer is saying, hey, Janet's been away for 20 minutes. Turn yourself off to save some power since she's not here.
Right. And I guess I don't understand why that's necessary, but I won't keep you belaboring this right now, so that's fine.
It's necessary because the hard drive there's a lot of electricity that goes into keeping that drive spinning when it's not needed.
Right. And what I don't know, I thought it spun only when a human was pushing the keyboard, making it do something. But obviously I'm wrong.
Nope.
So.
Drive is spinning all the time unless the computer tells it to stop spinning.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay. Some areas of updates that we should be worried about just outside of Windows updates. I know it's very important that we update our machines in terms of Windows updates and Mac patches that come out. Obviously those are big areas and things that Microsoft and Apple are patching on a very consistent basis, along with antivirus updates. And if you're not using antivirus on your Mac or Windows system, you should be getting some kind of program to protect it, as that's very stupid these days not to be running a program of that nature. But something that most people don't think about are third-party apps, and these are where a lot of exploits today and nasties and malware are leveraging the holes in these programs like Adobe Flash. If you watch YouTube, you're using Flash. If you open up PDF files, you're using Adobe PDF or some variant thereof, different program thereof, or Java. A lot of websites rely on this program to provide interactive, rich experiences for things that we do on the web. Now, this is not as popular as it used to be, but Flash and Adobe Reader, very popular. I mean, a lot of things we do these days still leverage those two programs very heavily. So you want to make sure that when you see that update come up about updating Java or updating Adobe Reader, that you go ahead and do it. Those are programs that get updated on a monthly basis now, and if you're not updating that, if you're behind on versions, like for example, Adobe Reader is on 11.0.6 already. If you're on version 8 or 9 or 10, you are at a much higher risk for becoming infected or being exploited in terms of digital security, because these programs are used as backdoors. Very plain and simple. These programs are backdoors that criminals use to hop through bugs and openings to get into your system. It's a big way that a lot of Macs are becoming infected these days. Windows has had this problem now for upwards of a decade. But this is what people don't think about. Is they say, oh, my Mac or Windows machine's up to date, but then they're running 3-4 versions out of date on these apps that they're using all over the internet. So you're just as well as not being protected by antivirus if you have old versions of these programs running that are very out of date. So when those updates pop up and tell you to update, and all these do, Adobe Reader does, Java does, and so does Adobe Flash. I know all of them do because people always ask me about it. When you see those, you need to make sure those updates are allowing to install themselves. Go ahead.
And how would you do that? You go to your security settings and look for updates for anything.
So these programs you have to get on your own.
Oh.
These programs in particular.
Like the PDF files. I've been applying for a job and
Sure.
I create a PDF file on
Sure.
a regular file so that it looks right with the resume
Sure.
and the cover letter.
No, I understand. The flaw, the risk that comes into play with using an old version of this is PDFs you open up on your computer. Or if you're using the old program and you open up a PDF that is infected with a virus or something, especially the older it becomes, the more out of date it becomes, if a criminal leveraged an exploit or a bug in that old version, you're fully susceptible.
So after
even if your Windows or Mac is fully up to date.
So every time I do an application and I send them my resume, and if it's a PDF file, what would I do next after I close this letter?
So, I mean, the risk does not come into play that heavily if you're just making a PDF file. It's when you're opening up PDF files from the internet or from third-party sources.
Oh, okay.
If you made the PDF, it's probably clean. It doesn't have viruses embedded into it.
But if someone sends it to
If someone sends something to you and you're opening it with Adobe Reader version 9, you're at a high risk for letting a nasty in through that PDF file.
where would you go to make sure and to correct
Simplest way, I mean, I always recommend FileHippo.com is a good place you can go to, or even just the Adobe website. If you type it in Google, Adobe Reader Update, the first results you're going to get are Adobe's website. You can get it straight from the manufacturer. Yes?
Is there a must that you have to install Java now these days?
Is there what?
Is it a must? Because Java is a language, right?
Java is a language, but it is also a software development platform that is used to encapsulate a lot of interactive programs on the web. So it's both.
I see.
So what we install is the front end that consumers use to access content that was made in Java. That's the reason we still need it.
Why Java? Why not C#?
Don't ask me. Ask the developers that still make programs in Java. I don't know. I don't know. It's up to developers. There's a lot of developers out there that have just been doing things in Java for upwards of a decade, and while it didn't used to be a problem, now Java's been a platform that's been exploited very, very heavily, and while I would love to see Java become extinct, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Till that happens, we need to be very concise with doing our updates on these different apps.
Replace Java with what?
Well, again, that's a development question. I can't answer that. I'm not a developer, but I would say, instead of them developing things in Java, which is a very bug-ridden platform, to be using things like HTML5 or C# or C++, all these other languages that are much less prone to these kind of issues and don't need these big software packages to run. So that's a development question. I don't get into that debate.
If we have any programs like or subjects or objects that we need to view on our computer, such as something through Java or a PDF, well, all your antivirus programs will scan it first if you want, right? Or no?
It depends.
Can you tell?
It depends.
Can you tell?
Like Java, I don't know exactly in terms of Java. Java's something that I think runs at a level that doesn't necessarily always get scanned by the antivirus program. A program like ESET, I think, does do its best of its job that it can, but Java is such a convoluted language and can have so many things going on behind the scenes that it could let something in even if your antivirus is fully up to date. That's why it's important to make sure you're using the latest versions of these critical programs like this. So antivirus is a good line of defense, but it's not going to stop everything if you've got a lot of bugs sitting on an old version of a program like that. So.
Oracle.com for updates or Java?
Yeah, Oracle's the one that makes Java. Or like I said, just Google it.
Just Google
Download Java Update. Download Adobe Reader. Download Adobe Flash. The first results you're going to get are the manufacturer's website for that. Okay? And all these programs apply to Mac and Windows. So Windows people are not alone. Mac has all these programs available. You have to keep them up to date. Yes?
So anytime we see Adobe Reader ready to install update, we should just do it?
You should do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Or any of these programs?
Yes. Yeah, these are the top 3 critical ones that I would do. There are others out there, obviously, but these are the most popular, the most common things we are using today on the internet. Well, was there another question in the back? Yes.
Yeah, I guess. Is it possible, I seem to remember doing this or trying to do this with Java at one point, and aside from hearing bad publicity about a problem with Java over a year ago, is it possible that this is going to interfere with like Norton antivirus?
What will? Doing the Java update?
The Java update, for example?
No.
Okay, because I avoided
If the Java is from Oracle, the ones that make Java, Norton is made in a way to understand that that is from the trusted maker Oracle. It's not going to block that program.
Okay.
You shouldn't have issues with that.
Okay, because I remember hearing over a year ago bad news about some big problem with Java, and it was in the news a lot.
Java's always in the news. Java is a platform that is very bug-ridden. It's a platform that needs to die, but it's not dying fast enough. And unfortunately, if you want to use the internet the way it's meant to be used today, there's a lot of websites that still rely on it. We can't make that decision. Until that platform dies off and we don't need it anymore, we have to be concerned with updating Java. So yes, you will hear about Java in the news. It's not the first or last time it'll happen.
Okay.
And what do they usually say if you listen to news reports? Update your Java. The people that are affected are the people running old versions of Java. They always say it if you listen to the news reports.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Can you jump versions? For instance, if you have version 5 of something.
Oh yeah.
And now
Oh
they're
yeah.
version 9.
If you install the latest version, it will take out the old version for you and put on the newest version. Yeah. So that's a very simple way to do it. All right, we need to keep moving. It's 11:15, and we got a little bogged down, so we'll keep going here. One of my favorite topics: the Mac myth, the Mac security myth. I use a Mac, and I'm not susceptible to viruses. I'm not going to ask the Mac users to raise their hand in the room if they believe in this, but this is a false. So this is a wives' tale. Okay, this has been proven false time and time again. You can see here the viruses that have been out for Mac since 1982. We got some of the big ones listed here on our timeline here. Sophos is an antivirus maker that, this is actually a snapshot from 2012. Back in 2012, they were picking up 4,900 pieces of malware on systems they protect every single week. And that was 2 years ago. I don't know what the current number is. I am certain it is quite a bit higher than that. But that is just an example of the kind of malware. And that number is only for the computers that had Sophos antivirus installed on Mac systems. So the total number of malware that was out for systems and being out in the market was probably a lot higher than that. That is just what we were able to find. I want people to get away from the misbelief that just because you use a Mac, you don't need antivirus, you're not susceptible to these kind of things. These problems still do exist. I wrote a big article about this theory up on Beta News. You can read the article if you want about this thinking that just because you use a Mac that you don't have these kind of security issues. Macs have security issues. You still have to update your Mac. You still should be using an antivirus program on your Mac. It is still the case where there are not as many viruses out for Mac. That is still true, but it's not true that there are no infections or no malware. I have cleaned off many systems, many Macs that have had malware and people didn't know about it. Okay? Free antivirus. A lot of people ask me, can I just use the free stuff? You can, if you don't care about your computer security. The free programs used to be good back in the day. Back in the mid-2000s, yeah, I used to recommend it all the time. There was no big deal about using a free program. Today, the bad guys are too good. The free programs just don't work as well as they used to. And besides, most of the free programs are upselling you and they're going to throw ads and pop-ups on you. I just tell people, unless you really can't afford the $40 a year or $60 for 2 years to get a program like ESET, fine. I guess free antivirus is better than nothing, but will I professionally recommend that to someone in low of a paid program? I will not. I will not. The nasty stuff that I've been seeing out there and the stuff that I see get passed, things like AVG and ABAST and programs like that, I would not protect my own computer with it. I wouldn't protect my business's computers with it. We don't recommend it to customers, but it's up to you. It's your decision about what you want to use. I will tell you professionally that the free programs don't work as well as they used to. Okay?
What about like with Comcast,
Yeah, so they give you, Comcast tends to give out a free copy of Norton, I think. It used to be McAfee, which I don't like very much. Norton they give out now. So here's where I'll put the scale. Norton is better than the free guys, AVG and ABAST, but things like ESET or Kaspersky are much better than Norton. So you're about middle of the road if you're running something like Norton. The reason I don't like Norton a lot is because it's so big and bloated. It's such a big program. It slows computers down a lot, and it doesn't have as good detection rates as some of the better paid products out there. So like I said, if you have to run it, it's better than nothing. It's better than using a free program, but if you can't afford the $40, get the paid product. Get the good product like ESET or Kaspersky. You'll be much better off on your machine. And Kaspersky, I'm not sure about Kaspersky, but I know about ESET. They make a Mac version, which we recommend very, very much as well. So you can get it for Windows or Mac today. The Mac version is called Cybersecurity for Mac. And it comes at the same price point, I believe.
How does Bitdefender fit in here? The free version or the
Bitdefender free version? I'd say Bitdefender is probably the best of the free products. When I say best, I mean the best at the bottom of the barrel. So if that puts it in any perspective for you. So out of the free programs, Bitdefender free is probably the best one to use, but I wouldn't trust my personal machine to that on a full-time basis. ESET's still the one we were going to recommend. Go ahead, yes.
Is that just virus or it covers malware as well?
Covers out everything. So malware is the full gamut of all the nasties that are out there, and the ESET program or Kaspersky, they protect against all that stuff. Yeah, because it's not really viruses that are affecting computers today, it's malware, it's things like Trojans, it's things like adware that's really doing damage, it's not viruses. Yes?
For a laptop without a disk drive, the ESET work, can you download for that?
What kind of laptop? What do you mean, like a Windows laptop?
Acer, Google Drive,
Chromebook?
Yes.
A Chromebook has built-in security protection. I should have mentioned that. Chromebooks have integrated a way that they handle security. They don't need antivirus programs. They are very, very slimmed down computers in such a way where they don't need any kind of antivirus, nor are they available. So Chromebook is the one platform I can say you don't need antivirus for. Any other questions? We're going to keep moving here. Go ahead. Yes.
When you have a virus on your PC or laptop
Sure.
that has come through, even though you're running this antivirus software, how do we do it ourselves to clean it? How do, besides calling an IT professional to come to do it, how can we do it ourselves?
Well, it depends on how nasty it is, because there are a lot of procedures that we do as professionals that I would never recommend to an average person, because you can wipe away your machine, damage your machine beyond repair by doing that. So I'm not going to tell you some of the ways that professionals do it, because it's way too complex for the average user, but I will say that your best line of defense if you do get infected is update to the latest version of the program that you're using, make sure your antivirus definitions are fully up to date, and run a full scan on your system. And if you're using a free antivirus program right now to protect yourself and you got infected, you can get a free trial of ESET for Windows or Mac, 30-day trial that will give you all the full functionality, and you can use that to clean your system off if you want to.
Okay.
Totally free.
Also, can we Google that information, or is there a good book to read on how to do that?
There is no good book to read as far as I know. There's some stuff online available, but this is all knowledge that changes on a monthly basis. There is no book that I have ever seen written about that. So you might find some articles online about it, but like I said, take my word of advice, download the free trial of a good program like this, update it all the way, scan the machine. 7 times out of 10 you can clean it yourself. Those other 3 times out of 10 you're going to have to probably call someone like ourselves to help you out. I wish I had a better answer. I don't. It's the best I can say.
But how did the IT professionals get their knowledge? Like we're trying.
Because we do this on a weekly basis.
They have better tools.
We work with very dangerous products that do deep down cleaning that I would never ask an average person to try using. Because one wrong click, one wrong program used, and you can wipe away all your important data. I would never ask someone to do that.
Can I make a suggestion in answer to your question? If you are running your computer, you're on the internet and start showing flags and virus infection, and it's not being caught, just do a hard shut off. Just shut off the computer, leave it off for about a minute or so. And when you turn it back on, it should used to kill the virus right there. Then run your scan of whatever antivirus program. And before you get on the internet, make sure you set a system restore point. Because once you turn the computer back on, first thing you do after you scan it, go back to your system restore point. And that'll, 99% of the time, that'll wipe it out.
How do you do that? Set up a system restore?
Ask Derrick.
I'm not going to go into system restore right now.
Okay.
I think we covered it in another class. I will qualify what was said. System restore usually works for that. Most viruses, most malware that is complex enough to get around what system restore does, they go beyond where system restore puts all the temporary files and the backups that it makes. I wouldn't say that's a 100% foolproof method. System restore helps. But there are many situations where the malware will just hide around the system restore point and come right back once you put the files back. So it's a good thing to try, but it's not 100%. It's not foolproof.
Right. It'll take care of like 90 to 95% of the problems.
Okay.
But if you still got problems, call them.
Yes.
On the news, they were talking about Heartbleed, and they were telling people to change their password, but not until like Microsoft and other companies.
Yes, I'm going to take 30 seconds to talk about Heartbleed. Heartbleed was a security flaw that affected one of the most intrinsic parts of how secure websites handle communication between you and the systems today. And it was a big flaw that happened and affected a certain portion of systems that run the internet today, like Amazon and Facebook and things like that. So they've updated their systems. Now they're asking people to change their passwords on some of those services. So I'd probably say it's a good idea to change your password on, I don't know the concise list, but if you Google websites that were affected by Heartbleed, you can find out which ones were the ones that had the issue hit them.
That's the way to find out that they already...
It's the way to find out which websites have the problem and which ones have fixed it already. There are many websites that are listing out who was hit and who fixed their machines.
Okay.
Everything in the Microsoft ecosystem, Outlook.com, all the Microsoft services, they were completely unaffected. It was the Amazons, the Googles, Facebooks, things like that.
So that's the way to find out that they've already fixed it?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. I don't know the exact website, but you can Google websites that were affected by Heartbleed. You'll find it as one of the first result or two. Okay? All right, we got to keep moving here. Tossing out your old computers. Not only is it illegal in the state of Illinois to toss computer systems or tablets or smartphones in the trash, you cannot toss out e-waste this day and age. Ruth? Someone?
Does that include printers?
Includes printers. Anything connected to your computer cannot be tossed into the garbage. Okay? You need to properly recycle all of those items. The garbage men have been told they're not supposed to pick up those things. CRT, old TVs, computers, things like that you leave out in the trash, they are not supposed to pick that up. And I've heard of situations where police driving by, they will leave a ticket on your door if they see that stuff sitting in the trash. So don't do it. Not only is it unsafe because your old things have data and things on them that need to be wiped off properly, but it's also against the law. So take it to Best Buy, give us a call, we can pick it up for you as well. Office Depot offers it as well. If you do work with us, service with us, like replace your computer system, we'll recycle it free of charge. So things of that nature. But do not put in the garbage. Like I said, you're putting your data at risk, and you're also littering the environment, and you're doing something that's illegal at this point in time. So
The Harwood Heights City Hall also.
Harwood Heights City Hall will take that. Oak Park City Hall offers free recycling. We used to use them as well for some of our drop-offs. So
Displays.
2 easy ways. Displays might offer it as well. Park Ridge is doing a recycling event, I think in like 2 weeks or so. Totally free, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can pull up with your car, take all your junk and batteries and flashlights and bulbs and all that, and they'll take everything for you for like $5. Yes?
What's a safe way to clean your computer before you throw it away? Or
You need to use a disk cleansing program. There's something called, what's the easiest one I could tell you to use? Derrick's Boot and Nuke.
What is it?
Derrick's, D-A-R-I-K. It's called Derrick's Boot and Nuke. You can Google that. They have a downloadable boot disk that you can put on a flash drive or a CD, and you can run that on your old computer. It'll wipe it away. And if you do choose to do that on your own, you need to make sure you do a 7-pass security wipe, which is a government-grade security wiping standard that the whole federal government uses for all systems they throw away.
Does it wipe the thing clean or just full?
Wipes the thing clear.
Okay. And
Be careful before you do it because it will wipe everything away. Windows will be gone. All of your system, it will be completely clear, like if nothing was ever installed. So make sure you get a backup of anything that was on there that you still need.
That's Derrick Boot and Nuke. Right?
Like my name, but with an A. Derrick's Boot and Nuke.
Derrick's Boot and Nuke.
Okay? You don't want to deal with it if it's too much hassle. Give us a call. We charge about a half hour's worth of work to wipe the machine clear, certify it, and we will recycle it at no extra cost then for you.
Derrick,
Yes.
one point. I did use that. People should be aware that it takes a long time to run.
Oh, it does.
To be prepared.
Yeah, it does. It's not a slow process. If you have a modern computer that was made in the last 5 years, it's probably going to take you at least a full day to let it run. So don't be worried that it's taking a long time. 7-pass wipe does take some time, but it's the only safe way to make sure nothing's left on it once the machine goes away. Yes.
Well, most people, I believe, throw away their computer or laptop when it broke or the power went away.
Sure.
You can't turn it on.
In that case, then you need to get a professional involved, unless you're willing to go in there, pull the disk drive out, and do what we do on a bench system to wipe that drive. Just because it breaks doesn't mean that data's gone. The data's still there.
Okay, well, or you can just donate the stuff as is, and
Who are you putting the trust into to make sure that happens then?
Well, what I'm saying is,
You mean donate the broken machine to an entity like a nonprofit?
what I'm saying is, I know of a person that's in this situation.
Sure.
Where they have an old 98 and they have an old XP
Okay.
that just doesn't turn on anymore.
Sure.
Alright, so I can't, or that person can't get the software
Sure.
downloaded to wipe out the
Sure.
files because you can't turn on the machine anymore. So that person just thinking, just take it, the letters that the person has written, whatever. Okay.
If they're okay with that getting out in the wild potentially, then that's a perfectly fine approach. I would not recommend doing it that way though.
Well, also these old 98s and these old laptops that don't work anymore, they're going to need an IT professional to get these running. Unless I don't know what these recycle places are going to do. I don't think they take out these small components.
They're not going to pull the disk drive out. They're not going to do what we do, where a company like ours does to pull that drive out to make sure that is wiped to a government grade standard.
Well, I don't know if they're gonna use this old 98 ever again, or.
Well, it's fine. It's not a matter of whether they're not going to use it ever again. It's a matter of making sure that that drive is wiped clear and there's nothing on it for whoever may get that system down the road, a recycler or a nonprofit or something. If they don't care that that data could get out, that's fine. They can just give it away. But I would not recommend doing that.
Okay, well,
Most people have had a social security number or a tax form or something personal touch a hard drive that should not be getting out in the public.
well, these computers don't have that, but how much does an IT professional charge to clear it?
We would charge you about $35, $40 to clear it off.
Can't
That's
you-
worth not getting your identity stolen.
Can't
Go
you,
ahead.
if you wanna just throw it away, just take out the motherboard, a small board, and then the discs for how much space you have, and just crush them and just.
You can if you crush it to a point that you know that it's crushed to a point where it's damaged. Most average people don't know how much damage it takes to damage the disk drive.
I did it with a sledgehammer.
Okay, then that's perfectly fine. I'm just saying most people will not go to that length to
And
do
then
it
I went to
themselves.
the North Park Nature Center on Pulaski and Foster, which accepts things 24 hours a day and equipment.
Sure, that's fine. If
Just
you're
north of
inclined to.
Foster.
If you're inclined to do that, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm saying just the average person usually doesn't know how much damage it takes to get the data off of a drive like that. Go ahead.
How do you wipe a flash drive?
Uh, A flash drive you can wipe actually using Derrick's Boot and Nuke as well. That should find all USB devices plugged into your computer. So if you can boot a computer and you can get Derrick's Boot and Nuke onto a disk, you can go use that tool to wipe away a flash drive or external hard drives, things like that. It will work. Or, very simply, that is something that's easier to damage than an internal hard drive. You can crack that in half and that will be fairly safe. Yeah. So that's perfectly fine for that. Internal disk drives, like I said, if you know what you're doing, you can do that, but for most people, I don't recommend they take out and start doing sledgehammers to it. All right, so let's keep moving here. Safe web browsing. Not going to spend too much time on this. Most people know what safe web browsing is, but I'm going to mention it because we do a lot of work at homes of teenagers and students and people that do a lot of precarious web browsing, and they always wonder why they're getting infected with things. Well, you are going to get hit with what kind of things you're viewing and the kind of websites that you're going to, because a lot of the deep, dark places on the web, like free music, free downloads, pornography, these kind of things carry a lot of malware on these sites, and you just need to be careful with where you're going on the web. Biggest things that people like to do, the free music and the free movies. If it's too good to be true, probably is. And one of those great free things you get is free malware off those websites. So I would say steer clear of that. Purchase a Netflix subscription for $8 a month. Get something like iTunes. Use Pandora, which is completely free for streaming music. You don't have to steal multimedia or get free stuff off the web these days. There's so many cheap options for doing it legally. Okay?
What is a P2P service?
P2P is peer-to-peer. Not as popular today, but things like BitTorrent, things like Napster. Back in the day, we don't use Napster, but there are still programs like that where you can share stuff with others around the world. And those networks are rife with malware through the nose.
Wow.
So you know if you're doing stuff like that, okay?
Actually, I wouldn't know what P2P is.
High-risk browsing homes. There is a solution for you if you have problems with getting infected with the viruses time and time again. This sort of is a last line of defense program that I actually use on my mother's computer. I never get calls about virus infections on my mother's machine. Okay, this is a program called Deep Freeze. What this does is just like it sounds. It freezes your computer in its current state, and you can't make any changes to it. Viruses can't do damage, malware can't do damage, programs can't do damage. The only thing that can happen is a hardware failure of some sort. But that machine will not have any software damage done to it with this program called Deep Freeze. Now it's a double-edged sword because likewise, since it's doing such a deep level of protection, keeping the machine clean, it also means that you can't install things until you put your system into what's called a thawed mode. So it's frozen and safe, or it's thawed and you can do stuff and make changes to it. So if you have someone in your life that has just so many problems with viruses or doesn't want to pay for antivirus software, you can spend $45 on a program called Deep Freeze. You can keep the product forever. The license will never expire. And you can freeze your system with this program. When I used to work at District 207, Main South, Main East, Main West, we used to use this program on all the student machines. We never had virus problems. We never had things breaking due to kids doing damage. So if you have a home with a computer where this kind of stuff happens, this is the best $45 you can spend and not have to worry about it. So I go to my mom's house, I do Windows updates for her once a quarter, and that's the only thing I have to do. I never hear about any damage done to the system. Go ahead.
Where do you get deep freeze?
Deep freeze is made, you can Google it. It'll bring you to a website by a company called FireLogic. F-A-R-O-N-I-C-S. FireLogic Deep Freeze. And they make a version, it used to be just for businesses, but they make a version called like Deep Freeze Personal or Deep Freeze Home, and that's the $45 version.
How can you pay for it safely?
I think they have an 800 number you can call, pay for it over the phone, and they'll email you a license link and download for it.
Great.
So, but if you're on a clean system right now or a library system, you can easily go to the website, purchase it right from them. It's a very worthwhile investment, very good tool. I don't use it that often for customers, but things like where there's a computer in the basement that the kids use that just play games on it and infect something, this will prevent that from ever becoming a problem again. Okay? Good tool, that's all I'm going to say about it. Check out Deep Freeze. You will like it if you have to clean your machine too often. Complex passwords. I'm going to mention this very briefly. If you're interested more about password security and why this is such a big problem, come out to our next security class that we're going to do probably in the next year or so. But what is a complex password? Why should I have one? Complex password is something that is 8 characters long, has at least one number, one special symbol like an ampersand, an @ symbol, exclamation mark, and at least one uppercase character. That is considered a strong password today. Maybe down the road that will not be strong, but today best practice in the IT world says this is considered a strong password, and any service that requires a strong password will accept these requirements as a strong password. So make sure that you're using strong passwords on your computer. If you're using something like pet or dog or I love Nancy to log into your computer, someone's probably going to be able to get into that very, very, very easily. Okay? And especially if you're using that for your email password, anything touching the internet, you should rethink that password and change that, especially in light of the heartbeat situation that we had in the last 2 weeks or so. So complex passwords are a very, very, very big requirement. Smartphone security. What can I do to keep my smartphone safe from all those prying eyes out there? Most mobile phones today you can encrypt. Encrypt is a setting you can find under security, which pretty much goes ahead and makes all the data on your smartphone scrambled until the password is put in to unlock the phone. A password's usually put in when the screen goes out, goes blank. It asks for a PIN code. That PIN code unlocks all the data, so it's viewable. It's a process that's invisible to you, but behind the scenes, if that phone was lost or the laptop, you can encrypt your Windows 8 laptop today as well with the same kind of technology. So if that device gets lost, no one can go in there and pry the information off of it. Very important, especially if you're using your smartphone for business purposes, keeping customer contacts, confidential information, things of that nature. A lot of people are doing mobile banking and things like that on their smartphones. Even more reason why encrypting your phone is necessary. Make sure you have a PIN or password lock on your phone. Don't use fingerprint locks. I know the new iPhone and the Galaxy S5 have fingerprint locks. Go online, look at all the videos of how long it takes to crack a fingerprint lock. It's very cruddy, junk technology, don't rely on it. Use a PIN or password lock, it's much more reliable. Avoid using SD cards. I used to be one that loved using an SD card in my phone. The problem is that an SD card, when you lose your phone, what happens? The SD card can be popped up and everything that's on it can be easily taken. So I would say use a phone that doesn't rely on an SD card. My Windows phone has enough storage on it where I just keep everything on the phone that's encrypted. If I lost this phone, I really don't care. I use OneDrive from Microsoft, and that keeps all my stuff backed up for me. So use a phone that doesn't have any of those pop-out SD cards if possible. Disable unused wireless bands, things like Bluetooth, NFC. There is a funny security term actually called blue snarfing or blue jacking, I believe, where someone can walk by if they are smart enough, and if you have your Bluetooth turned on while you're walking, they can swipe past you. Their phone, if it's set up to do cracking like this, will jump into your phone through Bluetooth and potentially get information off your phone. It's out there, it happens, it's a known security problem with Bluetooth. Turn that stuff off if you're not using it. NFC, another standard where you can use where you can tap 2 phones together to get information exchanged. While they are very useful in some situations, they are very damaging and they are prone to security flaws as well. So turn that stuff off unless you really need to use it, like in your car. Turn it on in your car, turn it off when you leave your car. All right, a few things about data. And when it comes to backups, if you are not using a service like a cloud provider like Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive or SugarSync or any of these other services, you have to be worrying about your backup situation. If you just have a computer sitting in your basement that you think is so safe and secure and nothing's ever going to happen to it in terms of data, think about what could happen if the machine breaks, if the machine gets stolen, if your house burns down, if that's where your sole collection of photos is sitting, or all your tax documents, or all your digital history. It's all gone unless you have some kind of proper backup routine. So for people that don't use a cloud storage service, like I mentioned, you want to be following the 3-2-1 backup rule. Using something like backing up to an external hard drive or external thumb drive, and also doing an offsite backup with using a cloud service as well, like CrashPlan. CrashPlan is a good cloud backup provider you can use that will suck everything off your computer every single night and put it up into a cloud service in a secure manner. $35, you can do unlimited storage for a year. It's the best money you can spend to keep your data safe. Especially the older your computer gets, the more susceptible it is to dying, the more important it is to be worrying about a backup service. No computer lasts forever. I don't care what anyone out there says. Yes?
A thumb drive, I'm not too familiar yet, but I know it only holds like 1 gig, 5 gigs, whatever. Can you save everything that's on your computer to a thumb drive?
The answer is, it depends. It depends on how much you have on your computer.
Well, I mean,
I have people that only have a few gigabytes worth of stuff on their computer. They can go out and buy an 8 gigabyte flash drive and put everything on it.
a lot, and then plus exe files,
So you might be better off doing a combo with an external hard drive. It would be much more cost effective. Spend something like $100 on a Seagate or Western Digital external hard drive, and then maybe layer that with a product like CrashPlan.
External what?
Hard drive.
No, you said external hard drive, Seagrade.
Seagate, 2 companies that I recommend. Seagate, Western Digital.
Western Visual.
Western Digital, 2 words. Western Digital.
I recommend the Seagate before the digital. I have a Western Digital.
Sure.
None of my computers will recognize it. It's only 2 years old.
Any kind of hardware can be a lemon these days. Those 2 companies do make some of the best hardware from what I've seen. But at the very least, if you don't get an external hard drive, I recommend a cloud backup service like CrashPlan at the very least. It is not only cheaper than an external hard drive, but it is much safer because, again, an external hard drive, if it's inside your home, can get stolen, lost, broken, be caught in a fire, be caught in a flood. If it's in a basement, it's susceptible to all the same damage your computer is. A cloud backup service sends everything to data warehouses that are in safe, secure regions that don't have natural disasters, things of that nature, and you will not have data loss even if your computer gets fully toasted. So very, very important these days. Using cloud backup is almost a necessity this day and age. If you don't want to worry about the backup situation like I talked about, just save all your stuff into a service like one of these guys. I happen to use Microsoft's OneDrive. I like this. We did a class about that about a month ago. Google Drive's another one that's out there completely free. I think they give you 10 gigabytes free. OneDrive gives you 7 gigabytes free. Dropbox is 2 gigabytes free. These are all services where if you store all your files into the folders from these programs, everything is backed up into their cloud service. So like I said, I really don't care if my phone or my laptop got lost today because I have everything backed up into one of these providers. And they're completely free. You can purchase more storage space from them if you need more storage room. But even at the base level, the 7 gigabytes, for example, Microsoft provides covers about 60-70% of individuals out there. Most people have less than they think on their computers. Just because you have 1 million Word documents doesn't mean you're using 100 gigabytes worth of space. Word documents, PDF files are very, very small files these days. Yes?
I'm in between users, or in between AT&T and Verizon. But I want
For what? For what? For what?
For internet access. Sorry for not being
okay.
Specific. And it is a bit of a segue, I'm sorry. But I was wondering, I watch a lot of movies. I would get Netflix. I would get YouTube. I use a lot of YouTube. Do a lot of work on YouTube
sure.
in different languages.
Sure.
And I was just wondering how many gigabytes is it practical to order from a company per month?
It's dependent on your needs. What do you mean? You mean?
Just
are you talking about like wireless internet from them?
wireless or cable?
So it's not as much of an issue for wired internet. Like cable, I wouldn't worry as much about it. You're probably not going to hit the cap. Wireless service, you probably are going to have to worry about a cap.
Okay.
So if you're doing a lot of YouTube, Netflix on something like a Verizon, MiFi kind of device, it's probably going to hit you in the nose. I think they offer, you can get up to 40 gigabytes of bandwidth on the service, but it's going to be expensive, like $180 a month for that much bandwidth. I would say if you're doing that much, you need a wired internet service instead of wireless.
Wired, like Comcast.
Comcast, AT&T, or Wide Open West.
Thanks.
Yeah, if you're a heavy user in that nature, you do not want to be using a Wi-Fi or wireless service like that.
Thanks.
Okay?
How is backing up to the cloud your entire drive?
Yes.
Isn't it the same like handing your hard drive to somebody?
No, it's not. Because all these cloud services have multiple layers of security. So, for example, you have, in order to even step on premise to one of these data centers like Microsoft, I was at a Microsoft event a few weeks ago, and they told me all the layers of security that goes into place where the data centers that hold OneDrive content are. Before you can even step foot on the premise, you need something like 2 or 3 background checks, a 2-week waiting period. I mean, insane amounts of security that go into this. Locked rooms, man traps, security cameras, security guards, barbed wire fences. The average person cannot step foot on one of these premises. Compare that to what most people's homes look like in terms of security. The big players got it down a lot better than we do. So that's why when people ask me, is it safer to keep my stuff in a cloud service? It is usually much safer to keep it in there. The problem that comes into play is people that don't use good passwords. That's where this problem comes into play. The cloud provider is doing everything it has to do to keep your data safe. If you use a junk password that's not good and someone gets around it, that's not their fault, that's your fault. So that's what I usually say. You have to make sure you're using a good password for these services. You're not using, they usually force you to use a good password, but you want to make sure that you're using something that meets that complexity requirement I talked about. Okay? If you're doing that, you're usually in pretty good shape. Yes?
Do they upgrade your passwords when you change them every few months?
What do you mean, do they upgrade
Like
them?
if you have cloud and they're saving your data.
Sure.
And you have passwords written in a notebook like I do alphabetically. So I remember.
Well, you tell me, if someone stole your notebook, where would you be?
Right. And so they have access to my passwords.
Sure.
And I was told you should change your passwords every few months.
Yes, best practice is about 90 days. I know most people don't like doing that.
Hard, but
It's tough, but 90 days is best practice.
Do you notify them, or do they automatically?
Some of them nudge you a little bit, not all of them though. It's usually up to you to make sure you change your password.
A document to them, a list of your passwords?
No, because every provider has a different password. So
No, I mean,
there's no one provider that would know all the different other providers you use.
Well, you wouldn't need to tell cloud or any of these places.
No, I mean, the only thing you have to do is just change your password. You change your password.
Every 90 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
90 days is best practice. I know in reality, if you can't do it that soon, I would say once a year is probably best.
Okay.
Floppy disks, I'm not going to say too much about this. If you're still using floppies or zip disks, I would recommend turning them into an art exhibit or a handbag for yourself. I'm honest. I'm being very honest. Using floppy disks this day and age, I just had a customer that called me a few weeks back who wanted a USB floppy drive because they wanted to make sure they get all their, they're able to still use their floppy disks. It's very, very dangerous to be using floppies. Floppy disks are old technology that are very susceptible to even being dropped on a table that lightly could damage a floppy disk. They can easily get lost, easily get damaged. They are bad technology. I would not be storing anything sensitive on a floppy. Most people have moved past floppies, but I still see people out there with floppy disks, so that's why I present a notice like this in this class, okay? Use a service like OneDrive or Google Drive. They give you the equivalent of 7,000 or 10,000 floppy disks worth of storage. Why would you want to be wasting your time with floppy disks though, okay? All right, final section. We got about 10 minutes here. We might go a little bit over. If anyone needs to leave early, I understand. But I want to get through all these as these are some good points that I want to make here. Tablets are all the rage these days, but tablets are not for everyone. Don't believe it when people say that, oh, why are you getting another desktop or laptop? You should be using a tablet. Tablets are not for everyone. If you're going to be doing any extensive typing on it, letter writing, working in spreadsheets, working in Microsoft Word, the only things that are good to do in tablets are very short spans of typing or short periods of computing. Because remember, unless you get a stand that picks up your tablet in front of you and you get a keyboard with that, it is very uncomfortable to sit and type on a tablet, on a tabletop, or on your desk looking at it like this. Okay? I wouldn't recommend it. So keep that in mind. A lot of people are just, get caught up in this tablet craze and think that they're going to replace the computer. Tablets are meant to be complementary devices, not replacement devices. That may change in the future, but as far as I'm concerned, and everyone that I work with today, tablets are meant to be complements to a regular desktop or a laptop computer or any of the other kind of computers that are out there. Okay? How to buy a new computer the right way without getting swindled. This is something people ask me all the time. These are the secrets that I always tell customers that they want to go out and get one on their own. Rule number one, do not base your decision on fringe features. When you go to Best Buy, you go to one of these computer stores, of course the salesperson is going to tell you, oh, you got a 1,000 gigabyte hard drive in here. You've got a Blu-ray disc burner in here. Don't get swayed by these fringe features, as most of the time they do not matter. The base system components that are in most computers today, unless it's the bargain bin, bottom of the barrel unit at Best Buy or Office Depot, are good for about 80 to 90% of people out there. I would not walk into a store and get frazzled by, getting a Blu-ray disc burner on your machine when you're probably never going to use it. Don't purchase any computer on a single visit. Avoid sales pressure, okay? Just like car salesmen, computer salesmen are exactly the same way. They're going to tell you, well, the deal's going to be gone tomorrow. Even if it is, there's going to be another deal that's at another store anyway. So do not get swayed into purchasing something without being able to do a little research. Cross-compare a price between stores, as most salespeople do work on commission, and the higher the price they can push on that computer, the more they're going to make. Price check between stores, no-brainer. You should be doing this regardless. Some computer systems that are at one store may be a different price at another store. Someone may be offering mail-in rebates at another place. So being a competitive shopper, checking your prices, again, is very important. Biggest thing that you should be worried about, again, instead of those goofy features that I talked about, 3 things. Your CPU, make sure you're getting at least an Intel processor, Core Series i3 at the least, or an AMD A4 unit, I believe is the AMD side of things. If you're looking for a machine, memory, no less than 4 gigabytes of system memory these days. If you get less than that, you should think about doing an upgrade as soon as you purchase it. But most computers come with at least 4 gigabytes. Now again, if it has something like 8 or 16 gigabytes, I wouldn't spend extra just to get a crazy amount, unless you're doing something like video editing that needs a lot of space, storage, RAM space of that nature. Hard drive size, 250 gigabytes I would say is the baseline floor I would look for. Things like 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte drives that it comes with it, great. If you're paying a premium for it, I wouldn't. Unless you have a lot of media that you're downloading and you know you need that kind of storage space. So it's based upon your particular needs. If you're getting an extended warranty, don't buy the warranty from the store. Don't get the Best Buy warranty. Call the manufacturer, get their extended warranty. That's because most extended warranties from manufacturers allow for on-site, in-home service. Best Buy's not going to do that for you. Office Depot won't do that for you. They're going to make you go through all the hoops and rigmarole to bring the machine back, and they're not going to honor the warranty. Manufacturers are much better about honoring warranties on their systems because they want you to buy your next computer from them. Okay? Best Buy's usually, Office Depot are usually just worried about that one-time sale. Manufacturers have an image to worry about. That's why their warranties are usually much better than the store warranties that are provided. So I would say skip the store warranty, consider extended warranty from the manufacturer. And an easy way to save money on new computers is open box. Sometimes they're called slightly refurbished or like new open box. A lot of times, and we sell these systems to customers quite often during the year. These kind of systems are basically purchased by someone. They found it didn't have a feature they wanted. They close the box up. They return it to the store. The store cannot legally sell that system as brand new anymore. No matter if they put tape on it, whatever they do. It has to be sold as open box or slightly refurbished or like new open box, but don't let that term scare you. If you can inspect that machine when you purchase it, or go through an IT company like ours who inspects the systems before they give them to customers, you can get a great deal on an open box system, just like on a car. My girlfriend purchased a car that was driven off the lot, driven for just a few thousand miles and returned, and we got an excellent deal on that Subaru. The same applies for computer systems. Manufacturer or stores are willing to mark these units down very heavily just because that box was open, because they know there's a stigma against buying a system like that. Take advantage of those things.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What if there is any damage done that is not visible on site?
Before the system is resold, the computers are almost always diagnosed on the internals to make sure that everything passes through a full diagnostic check. And regardless, they usually provide a 90-day warranty from the store itself on that system.
Okay.
I know Micro Center does. Every person I send to Micro Center down in the city on Fullerton and Elston, they provide a 90-day warranty on almost every open box system that they sell.
Okay.
So if something does happen that was not seen right away, you have time to go back and take it back to them.
Okay.
So you're not going to get caught in any of these used car, when you drive it off the lot, you can't take it back. That doesn't apply to computer systems most of the time.
Okay, thanks.
Okay?
Thank you.
This is an important one I like bringing up because we have been moving a lot of customers to this. The secret about business class computers. I know they don't look as nice as consumer machines, but these machines that are meant for businesses, and you can buy these at places like Micro Center. They come under the names of things like Think Center. For Lenovo, they come under the guise of like HP has Pro Series desktops and ProBook and EliteBook laptops, or Dell's Latitude or Optiplex line. These are meant to be sold to businesses, but you can purchase them just as easily if you're looking in the right place. You will pay a little bit more for them, but the big thing is they come with 3-year on-site warranties standard out of the box. You don't have to pay for an extended warranty on these. Most consumer line units you buy from a store like Best Buy come with a 1-year mail-in where you have to box it up, ship it out to the manufacturer, they keep it for 2 weeks, they fix it, and they send it back to you. These machines allow for you to call in, they send a technician out, they fix the problem on site, they leave, you don't have to touch anything on the computer. For a lot of people I talk with, that's worth it. And that's worth a little bit extra price that you pay on these systems. Most computers we sell to clients firsthand through our company are almost always business line machines. We don't sell consumer line systems anymore because the price difference is so minimal and the amount of benefits you get are so great. The other thing is you get better customer support lines. There's special support lines you can speak with that are better than the standard ones. I mentioned a 3-year warranty, and the other secret is they usually last longer. A consumer line system you buy at Best Buy, average lifespan probably 3 to 5 years. Business class systems, because businesses buy on 5-year cycles, these machines have to last 5 years at least for them, many times longer. And these companies know if you screw over a big corporation, you're not going to be getting that next $10,000 computer order from that organization. So these things are built to much higher standards of quality. My laptop I use here as a business class unit. I've been using these line of laptops for the last 10 years. They've never died on me. They are very good systems, well built, and again, they don't advertise them to consumers, but anyone can purchase them. It is a little known secret in the computer industry, so take advantage of it.
So we have to buy them online or go to an IT professional?
Not true. You can go to Micro Center. Micro Center has a lot of these systems available at their store.
Okay, so we ask for
if you follow the ones that these kind of lines, you have to make sure you're looking at these specific lines of units. I only put up these 3 because these are the only 3 manufacturers we recommend: Lenovo, HP, and Dell. And those are if you rewatch the video, you'll be able to come to the slide and you can see the different names of those. But those are the guises that the business line units are under, and as long as you get one under that name, you will be entitled to these advantages that I was talking about, okay?
How good do you think is a Panasonic Toughbook?
Panasonic Toughbooks are very good, but they're very expensive. They're meant for police.
Okay.
I would never sell one to anyone because they're so absurdly priced that they're not cost effective for most people. If you can afford it, Panasonic Toughbook is a very good device. I mean, police cars use them, so I mean they're very good, but they come with a big premium because they're meant to take bullets and things that we don't see at our home unless you got bullets flying around.
If I need bullets, I got bullets to worry about. I think I need something other than a Toughbook.
Yeah, some Kevlar, right? Printers, another important topic. We've been tricked into believing that inkjet printers are very cheap and are the best thing to use for our home printers. But as a matter of fact, most of the time it is more cost effective for the long term to be using a laser printer these days. And most people don't know about this, but laser printers have come down from being $4,000, $3,000 machines just for businesses, where now you can go into any store and purchase a $150 laser printer. And the reason these are more cost effective is because you have a larger page count between consumable replacements. So when you think about it, when you go and purchase an inkjet printer, those little tanks that you purchase every 2 months, 3 months, you know how many pages you get per tank in terms of printing?
4.5.
Even the largest ones are no larger than about 450 pages. And that's if you're printing evenly spaced, nice, just text documents, not like big graphics or anything like that. As soon as you start doing more complex prints, your number of prints per tank go down drastically. Compare that to laser tanks that you have to get for laser printers. You can get them black and white or in color. For example, I have a Samsung unit in my home office that gets about 2,500 to 3,000 pages per tank between placements. I replace my tanks maybe once a year or less. And I buy them refilled, manufacturer refilled from places like Office Depot, Micro Center, Staples. You can get your tanks refilled from a place called Cartridge World in Skokie. There's a place you can take your tanks to and they will refill it for you as well. And that costs about $45 for a tank refill, $50.
For the laser one too?
For laser ones as well, yeah.
Wow.
Inkjet ones maybe about $25, $30. But you can see, 2,500, 3,000 pages per tank, 400, 300, 200 pages per tank on an inkjet. It's a big difference. While you're paying less for an inkjet up front, that's the trick. They get you on the consumables. That's how printer companies make money. If you didn't know, they make money on the ink that you purchase from them on a consistent basis. They don't make money on the printer. You pay more for a laser printer because it's higher quality, will last you longer, and you are going to get more lifespan out of each consumable tank that you get, and you're generally going to get better print quality on the lifespan of that one tank as opposed to an inkjet where you start seeing those lines about 75–80% in the lifespan of that unit. Whereas a laser toner tank is pretty consistent all the way through up until about 95% lifespan. So, yes?
Do all of them take tanks, or you need to buy a model that takes a tank? Because I
All
currently have a cartridge.
laser printer?
Laser printer.
All laser printers, I call it tanks, they're called toner cartridges.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same thing. But every laser printer has some kind of toner tank that you're going to purchase to replace on it. Yes?
I think I made a mistake by buying a photo-oriented printer because I was going to be printing photos, but
Sure.
I never figured it out.
Printing photos at home is not cost effective.
Five toners that I have to use, and I pay about $85 for
What kind of
each
printer is it?
toner.
Is it inkjet?
It's an inkjet.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of a laser, and then I wasn't sure, so I just got that.
Printing your photos at home is not cost effective. Trust me on that. I've done the numbers.
Machine that I bought that's just for printing photos, and I
Sure.
just go to Walgreens, but I was thinking of
Walgreens, Sam's Club, you're going to do much better in the long run than
trying
buying
out
these
that
tanks.
machine if I can
Photo quality printers, unless you're a photographer and you need these prints instantaneously, they are not cost effective. They are very expensive to run.
Sometimes I do need them, so I'm thinking of using it and trying it and seeing.
I would try looking for a good color laser. I think you'll be impressed. Their
Okay.
quality is very high. You're probably going to spend about $300, $250 on a good printer, but that thing's going to last you upwards of 10 years.
Okay.
You're not going to be replacing that printer anytime soon.
Great.
I mentioned this already. Don't buy new tanks from the manufacturer. That is how they make their money on the cheap printers that they make, whether it's inkjet or laser printer. Always buy refilled tanks from a reputable vendor. Staples, Office Depot, places like that. These places have very high standards in how they refill their tanks, unlike some cheap or outlets that you may find online out there. If you're buying from a reputable store, refill tanks, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape. And you'll save quite a bit of money. Quite a bit. Microsoft Office, people think that you still have to buy Office for every machine that you have. It's not the case anymore. Yes, if you're doing things like complex research papers or business formatting for documents you need to send to clients, it may be necessary, but for the average Joe that's just writing letters at home, you have options like Google Docs or Office web apps that come from OneDrive that are completely free, don't cost you a thing.
Where's those from?
Office web apps are part of OneDrive, so OneDrive.com. OneDrive, you sign up for a free account and you can store Office web apps for yourself. They're online versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote that you can use.
You can't download them to your computer?
No, these are not downloadable. These are all web-based. The only downloadable suite is LibreOffice that you can use. This is a Microsoft Office alternative. It's not as pretty as Office, so be aware you're going to be a little bit shell-shocked when you see the little bit of a 90s interface on it. But it is the closest thing to a free Microsoft Office that you can download and install for yourself, okay? LibreOffice, if you Google it, it'll be the first result you find.
Does it give you enough features and enough usability?
For most people, it's enough.
And it's free.
I prefer Office web apps because I think they're They mimic what regular Office looks like, and they have all the features that we're used to. But if you absolutely don't want to use a web-based version of Office, then LibreOffice is your best bet.
Does it have Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and OneNote?
This doesn't. This has alternatives to it called like Writer and Spreadsheets.
Okay.
But this one, Office Web Apps, they are light versions of regular Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. This is the closest experience right here that you're going to get to purchasing regular Office. I use these all the time. I'm really happy with them. You can watch our OneDrive class. I showed off how you can use this. Very, very nice tool, completely free from Microsoft.
And you get it from Google Docs.
So Google Docs is Google's version. Office Web Apps are from OneDrive.com. It's from Microsoft. It's a free service. It's a cloud storage service plus a free Microsoft Office web-based edition.
I'm sorry, what was that, OneLine.com?
OneDrive.
OneDrive.
OneDrive.com, all one word. All right, we're almost set here. Two cheapest upgrades you can do to your computer, no matter what kind of machine you have. Well, I'll preface that if you have a tablet computer or a machine that you can't get into, you may not be able to do these upgrades, but most regular sized laptops and desktop computers, you can upgrade your memory and you can upgrade your disk drive to a solid state disk. So memory is very cheap. These are chips that you can buy to double the number or triple the number of hands your computer has to do things at a given time. This is probably the cheapest upgrade you could do to get the most bang for the buck on your system. Replacing your disk drive with an SSD. I run one of these on my laptop. Not only are they not susceptible to drop damage, if I drop my laptop, it will not damage the laptop, but they are also considerably faster. They have no spinning disk. Usual laptop hard drives have a spinning disk, and you're limited by the speed of how fast that spins. This does not spin. This is the effect. This is in essence a flash drive on steroids that goes into your laptop. There's no moving parts on it. It is as fast as you can get in terms of hard drive technology.
Can you get them at the major stores?
You can get them at most major stores. Yes. There's a little bit of a. An average size SSD drive, about 128 or 256 gigs. You're probably going to be spending about 130 to about 190 bucks on a drive like that. They're not cheap, but it is a very worthy upgrade that not only will save battery life, prevent drop damage, but give you very, very fast speed and boot time and application start time, things like that.
Do they ever have to have be defragged?
They don't have to be defragged. No, Windows takes care of that by default. So, yes?
Are the solid state drives available in new laptops?
Yes. Yeah, if you purchase a new laptop, it's going to generally be at the higher end of the price spectrum. If you're getting a laptop with an SSD drive built into it, you're probably going to be looking to spend no less than about $800 to $850 bucks. They are considered premium items still. They are not standard edition units. They will not be for some years to come. But if you're interested in having that nicety, I would just get a laptop with an SSD right off the bat. Most manufacturers that we recommend, like Lenovo, Dell, HP, they have dedicated at least half of their models to have these SSDs in there. Higher end price, but the performance and the lifespan is worth it in my eyes.
So don't get it separately. Just try for a laptop if you're going for a whole.
If you're due for a new laptop anyway, or a new desktop, you can get them in some desktops too. Just get the desktop that has it, or a laptop that has it built in. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with moving your Windows installation over to it, and that's a pain in the rear unless you can get someone like me to do it for you. Any other questions about our upgrades? Yes?
How easy it is to install those memory?
Depends on how easy it is getting your computer. If you have an easy computer like I just showed you, it's going to be a 5-minute job.
Can it be done on a laptop?
It can be done on a laptop, yep. Most Windows laptops have a back door that you can open, take off, and you can get access to the memory chip slots, and you can pop those chips in yourself and update it.
Okay.
If it's not under the back door, there is under the keyboard. You have to take the keyboard off, and you can do it under the keyboard.
Okay.
The only laptops you can't do easily are Mac laptops. They usually have to be done by a professional. They need special tools and bits and things like that. I wouldn't recommend the average person do that on their own. Okay? Final one, and then we have a few minutes of questions if necessary. Repair or replace. People ask me, and we answer this question all the time. When is it worth it to repair? When is it worth it to replace? Rule of thumb. This does not always stand 100% of the time, but in general, these are the rules and the best practices we follow. We usually repair when parts like power supply or memory or hard drives fail inside of the machine, parts that don't cost too much to replace and don't involve too much labor to replace. It's usually more cost effective, especially if the machine is 4 to 5 years old or less, to go ahead and do a repair. But usually when you see something like a system board fail, and when I say system board, a laptop, pretty much the whole board in a laptop is a system board outside of the hard drive. So if that happens, almost always we say it's worth it to replace the laptop. If you have to replace a system board on a laptop, you're going to be spending way more than you should on that repair. So I would say it's time for a new unit. But desktop machines usually needs a little bit more decision making, as there are many times where repairing it is definitely more cost effective than buying a new one. Yes?
I bought a new PC when my identity was almost stolen. Just when I walked in the door, my credit card was calling me, and they said, "Did you charge $2,000 to
Sure.
this Israeli charity?"
Sure.
And then an hour later, $1 to your photo. I said no. It turned out that it was a common MO that they recognized, the same charity and group. And I just had so many viruses that I didn't have a friend come look at it, but I didn't want to take a chance on somebody having my information, so I went out to Micro and bought a new computer.
Good.
Is that what you
I mean, that's fine. I mean, it depends. I mean, a situation with an infection, what may seem like a deep infection to you may be something that's super easy for someone like me to go ahead and handle. So I would say sometimes it's worth calling first to see how much it may be to repair it. But if we say, hey, it's going to take us 4 hours to clean this off, you might as well just get a new machine. It might be better just to get a new machine. And that could have been a situation like that. Especially if it's older, yeah, we would usually say it's time to replace instead of repair. Questions? Who's got questions? Go ahead. Yes, in the back.
I have Norton antivirus
Sure.
security, and occasionally, actually not just occasionally, almost every day, I get a message saying something like high disk drive usage, something like that.
It's funny that Norton says that because 80% of the time it's Norton's fault that happens.
Okay.
It's kind of ironic. Norton, as I said earlier, it's such a bloated program. It tries to do so much behind the scenes that it actually is its own problem. It causes its own issues.
Okay.
And that it's putting its fingers in so many places. Now, that may not be entirely the case always, but in general, I find that to be what happens.
So should I be worried about this, or?
If it affects how fast you can use your computer, or it affects on how you can open your documents or work with the machine, then I would be worried about it. But if it doesn't bother you, then I would say just ignore the message for now.
Okay.
Or just replace Norton with a better antivirus program like he said.
Okay.
You'll never get that message again, trust me.
Right, okay.
So,
What if you
my
have,
recommendation, yes, go ahead.
what if you have an ancient CPU that you just patched together with a new computer? And I was trying to open the side of it, my friend was able to, but he moved. So I think there's just like, I have to do 4 screws or something, and then something in the middle. There's not a latch that just pops it open,
Sure.
and slides open.
Sure.
I guess just try to figure it out, look and see on the side where any screws
Yeah,
are.
I mean, I would say see if you can get your hands on it, maybe take the door off, or see if you can get that wire, the situation with the wiring figured out on that. I mean, it could be something you could do yourself. Maybe you have to get someone a little more
I would probably get someone.
technically inclined to take a look at it, because you got to be careful. Some wiring is very fragile inside a computer, especially the cables that connect like the power button. There's sometimes just a single strand of wire, and just bending it too much or crimping it could damage your whole power button on your machine. I have done it myself, and I've cried many times. So be careful if you do something like that, as that could happen. And I just want to say, Lindsay, we didn't give out the raffle tickets yet for the prize. Lindsay's going to go around and put everyone in the raffle. If you want to be in the raffle, we're giving away 2 20% off discount coupons for our services that we're going to give away. Unfortunately, I don't have any other swag. We've been doing too many classes, and I have no more goodies left in our goodie bag. So service discounts is all I can offer this month. So if you want to be in the raffle, make sure you grab a ticket from Lindsay as she walks on by. And I'll still take questions as we go ahead. So who else was up just next? Yes, go ahead.
So if I buy a new computer, I can, how do I transfer whatever I have on the old computer to the new computer?
There's 2 ways to do it. A simple way, if you don't have too many items, I would just use a service like Google Drive or OneDrive. You sign up for it, you install it on your computer, you dump everything you want to move into the folder controlled by that program, it'll synchronize it up to the cloud service, and then you log on your new machine with the same program, and it'll bring everything over automatically. That's the simplest way to do it. A little more manual or labor intensive is just to get a flash drive or external hard drive. and you can use that then to put everything onto and do a transfer on that device for yourself. So either way, but the easiest way I think is using OneDrive or Google Drive. Super simple.
What if it's more than the 7 gigabytes that they offer for free?
If it's more than 7 gigabytes, you might have to purchase a little more space with it, or just go out and get a thumb drive for yourself that's large enough for your needs.
Okay.
Depending on how much space you need, it might be cheaper just to get a few extra gigabytes on OneDrive or Google Drive than to buy a 16 or 20, or 36 gigabyte flash drive. So, yes.
I was thinking about getting a Mac Mini. If I do get that, do I need a specific Mac monitor, a Mac keyboard, or can I use any?
You do not, no.
Okay.
Standard keyboard, standard mouse, standard monitor will work with any Mac system made in the last 10 years, I believe. So.
Okay. Any particular place you recommend to go get a Mac Mini? I've seen them online. And
Micro Center has a lot of open box units, refurbished ones you can get. If you're buying new, you're going to spend no less than about $1,000. I'll tell you that right up front. They're
for a Mac
actually
Mini?
expensive. I mean,
for a Mac Mini?
For a Mac Mini, I believe it's even a Mac Mini. I don't think it starts at less than $800, $700.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but their price points are always quite high. So.
Yeah. I've seen them online.
Is there a particular reason that you were going for a Mac Mini, or?
It's something I wanted to try with virus fighting later.
Oh, okay.
So I'll explain more fully in the at the tech desk. But I figured it's good basic information now.
Sure.
I was kind of wanting to look.
I would say easy place is just Micro Center. You can either get a new system or they have an open box or a refurb. They do a very good job in how they check their machines there, and they'll probably give you a pretty good price on it. I wouldn't be going for the garage sale route for something like that because
I've only looked at online.
Yeah.
And stuff, and they're only like $450. But some of them, I don't know what the most recent or really old operating system.
450 sounds like one that's 3, 4, 5 years old. You're not gonna get one that's within the last 2 years. That's 450. I highly doubt it.
That might be okay for what I'm doing because I'm only going to be trying to fight viruses with it. Because one of the things that I'd like to do, there's a lot of neat programs you can download for your computer, but you put them on a PC and it'll red flag, ding ding ding, oh virus. So what you do is you put it on a Mac and it won't do that.
All right, we'll talk help desk after recording about that.
Right, okay.
Who else has any questions? Yes, go ahead.
I have a laptop with a battery on it. It just doesn't seem to work very well.
Sure.
Do they wear out after?
They do. They do. I should have mentioned laptop batteries. Laptop batteries wear out in about, depends on how heavy you use it on the battery. If you're using it very heavily on a consistent basis, 2 to 3 years. A little bit less so, maybe 4 to 5 years, but laptop batteries definitely do die out. Easy place to go get replacements. There's a place called Battery World, I believe. They have multiple locations. If they don't have it in stock, they can special order it for you. And they usually have access to get a generic replacement batteries instead of the original manufacturer ones that cost like $100, $200, and you'll save a lot of money by doing that. So go to Battery World. I would say don't even go to Best Buy or Micro Center, as they're going to sell you just original batteries. Go to a place like Battery World where they can get you a generic battery for it. Save a lot of money.
Are they a local store or online?
What was that?
Battery World.
Battery World's a store. You can actually go to the store. I think they have one right in Skokie on Tui, right before the train tracks over there. It's a Battery World over there by the Starbucks. I've been there a few times.
So
Good place.
In a laptop, is it okay to take the battery out if it's plugged in most of the time?
I would. If you're going to just use it plugged in most of the time, taking the battery out, leaving it unplugged is probably a good thing because there is a lot of battery drain that happens if you're just leaving it plugged in for weeks and weeks and weeks on end.
Okay.
So yes, pulling the battery out, if you're comfortable doing that, is probably okay.
Okay.
And most Windows laptops have a very easy way, latches, to just pull the battery off, leave it unplugged, and when you're going traveling around the road, put the battery back in and charge it up and use it at that point.
Okay.
But that's an easy way to save on battery lifespan and get maybe 5, 6 years out of a battery instead of 3 or 4. Yes, go ahead.
What are your thoughts on using consumer reports to select a laptop?
This is a tough one. Because I'm in the industry and I know what's good and I read consumer reports, I like what they do and what they report on, but they tend to not look at the same things that IT professionals like myself look at on systems. Like, they've never said anything about getting business class units when I think it's a thing that most technicians know about these days. So on their computer reporting, I would say it's decent. I just don't think they're looking at all the right aspects on their computer side of things. The one aspect they're pretty accurate on is things like break-fix history in terms of how kind of historical damage, number of repairs per model, per unit, per 1,000 people, that kind of data they're pretty accurate on, but in terms of their recommendation on what new system to get, you have to be careful. I think they're a little too Apple biased in their reporting. I wouldn't use them as my only source of guidance on a new computer.
Which is my next question, what would you recommend?
Well,
For research,
in terms of research, I would use a combination of websites. PC World is a good website that you can use. CNET.com, C-N-E-T. That's another wonderful technology-based organization that knows tech inside out, not Consumer Reports, which does everything under the sun. So I would do PC World, I would do CNET. There's a computershopper.com. They used to have a magazine that came out every single month with computer recommendations. I think they're just a website now. That's another good source to look at. But technology-based websites like that, those top three, if you look between those, I think you'll be in pretty good shape. Because not only do you have the reviews that professional IT people have done, but there are also IT-centric people that comment on the reviews, and you can see, and they usually have user ratings, like PC World, they'll have the rating, 5-star rating, 4-star rating from PC World, and then they'll show the user rating, what the people that had come on the website have said about the product. They're usually in line, sometimes there's some discrepancy, but if you can validate it based upon the users and what the reviewer said from the magazine, you're probably in pretty good shape at that point. They're pretty spot on, so those are my top three. Any other questions? And we'll pluck some names. Yes?
I have a question about photo storage in terms of backing
Sure.
up. You have, let's say you have it on your laptop. I have discs, which I know you're not recommending. So
Floppy disks?
The
CDs?
CDs, yeah.
Oh, so CDs are okay. They're still not great.
Okay.
They're better than floppies, but I would probably still move away from CDs and move to something like just storing them on your machine with like OneDrive or Google Drive or something like that. That is the best, safest way, I think, to do it.
Cloud storage.
To a cloud storage service, yeah.
And then some other.
Or a combination of a cloud storage service with an external hard drive, though, using those two in combination.
Okay.
But just CDs, I wouldn't do because CDs have a lifespan. CDs have a lifespan before they're going to start rotting on you of about, I think if you keep them in good temperature, it's something like 10 to 12 years at most. Any more than that, and they're going to start suffering from what VHS tapes are getting these days, which is bit rot, media rot, things like that. So CDs are not long-term storage by any means. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sure I'm going to botch this up, but is there like if you're hunting and pecking around on your computer or whatever, or you get these warnings,
Sure.
you know, why mobile me, whatever.
Sure, sure.
And I'm like, I don't even know what mobile me is. Is there like tech support out there that will talk to you in layman's term and to help you clear up a problem or like
Calling a company like mine, I mean, we do this all the time with customers.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry to provide self-promotion, but I mean, that's what companies like myself do. We will talk with you and we will tell you exactly what's on your machine. Most of the time we just say, hey, can we dial into your system remotely and take a look at what you're seeing and we'll work through it together? I mean, that's usually what we do these days. So if you have a trusted IT person like that, or if you don't, you can give us a call. We can help you do that. We do it every single week with customers. It's part of our daily routine, and we know what's good, we know what's bad. We can get you out of a bind and get the bad stuff off your machine pretty quickly.
Okay.
So, okay? Any other questions? All right, if you have anything else you want to ask, I'm going to turn off the recording so we can pull names without getting people's names famous on YouTube now. And if you have any further questions, you can ask me as I'm tearing stuff down, okay? All right, Lindsay, let's pluck 2 out.
You good?
Yep, we're good.